Good to go.
All right, this is Bill Canada, Custer County Commissioner, Board of Commissioners, Custer County, and this is Wednesday, February the 3rd, 2021, 9:01 a.m. So let's start. We'll call this meeting to order, and the first order of business would be to silence your phones if you haven't already. And we'll call the meeting to order. So I'd like to have the pledge, and let's see if Kelly can do that today for us.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Canada.
Here.
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Day.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And clerk to the board, Kelly Campbell, present.
Wow, did they operate on your thumb and your phone?
Yeah, looked pretty good. All right, also here is Tina Jones, our admin. She's here also, and we've got others that we'll introduce as they come. I know we've got the airport board waiting in with bated breath to come in and give us a report. Today's activities will include the staff reports of the departments that remain. That's the airport, HR, finance, the treasurer, the IT, and the OEM. And then new business, of course. And then we've got some sessions this afternoon, workshops. One PIO interviews was one workshop. The other is a personnel interview as well. So that's what we've got going. And we're going to try to break the record of not breaking the record. We almost did yesterday. We didn't break the longest record ever held for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Length of meeting, I think. Was that the record, or was it 2 hours and 30? The record?
Well, 2:30 was.
We did it by 2:20, and so we didn't quite break it. We're not going to achieve that goal if we can help it.
So are we gonna recess? And then you guys interview and then come back? You're not.
Well, that was the plan. That was the plan. So
But
that
you're
we
not
could,
gonna do.
no, that is, I'm glad you reminded me, that is the plan.
Okay.
So we will recess as opposed to adjourning, and we'll have the workshop to interview the PIOs, and then we'll reconvene to
And are you gonna do
discuss it.
the
Personnel after that.
After that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, then once we reconvene, we will adjourn the meeting after we discuss the PIO. Okay. So that's the game plan for now. Any amendments to the agenda, Tom? Got anything today? How about you, Kevin?
None here.
Yeah, I don't either, so thank you. And we do have all the latest and greatest agenda. So thank you, Kelly, for getting it on in time yesterday. All right, no minutes that I'm aware of.
No.
And commissioner items. So this time, how about you, Kevin?
I haven't done anything.
In the last 24 hours, is significant enough?
Not since the meeting ended.
Okay, how about you, Tom?
I had a citizen call me questioning the need to hire a PIO.
I've had
I'm sorry,
several
I
of those
didn't-
calls.
Didn't mean to say call, actually texted me. So other than that, not much.
No, none here. I did talk to Cleve Simpson about the proposed law, HR, that we don't know what it is yet on the Board of Health membership kind of thing. And he is obviously think it's, he's glad to hear from us. He wants us to make sure we stay on top of it, along with Ron Hanks. I haven't heard from Ron Hanks either. I tried to call him. Have you ever heard from him? Somebody said he was missing, so I have no idea if that's true or not.
Well, it was reported that he
Didn't show
failed
up
to
for that.
show up for his first week of
Right.
the job, but he should.
It's yours, I gave it to you.
Oh,
And
left it here.
you know, I don't have anything other to announce that's significant, other than I thank you, Tina, for the pens. We have a new supply of really nice pens, and I promise I'll take good care of it. And with that, how about the attorney?
Nothing since yesterday except about my dog, and I already reported.
I don't think we need to put that on. I'm glad your dog is doing better, though. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, a question, if I may.
Go ahead.
I guess this question for Kelly. Did we get In the board packet, did you send us anything about the rural development grant that we're considering today?
No,
Okay.
rural development.
It's the
And then.
OEM, no.
8630.
I'm hoping that Adrian put it in his little, he tried to send me his packet and he didn't
I think he's
have
bringing
the
in.
right email.
He was
Yeah,
gonna-
it doesn't look like it's in there.
Okay, I just wanted to check
Yeah.
to make sure I didn't miss it somewhere. And then
No.
the same with, well, Kids Council. She
In the
didn't
kids
send-
council, I put a packet there. when we got done yesterday, there was packets on my desk.
Oh, okay,
And
that's what
so-
this is. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that and we got Virginia's.
And then we didn't get a copy of the contract. I just am afraid I might have missed an email because I didn't know anything about the Piper Sandler thing. We didn't get anything in the packet about that.
Yeah,
We
there
did.
was, so
Let me look.
the Piper Sandler one that you gave me from,
July 30,
yeah,
okay.
that's in there. And then the one I found from
September
is
20th
in
is
there.
in there, both of
So
them.
that you could compare them.
Well, one that matters is the September one would be the most current one. But we can compare what the change was.
Yeah, and I've got. Let's see.
Is
I've
that
got
on
the,
the,
the July one in my board packet, but
Yeah, and when I sent out, so I sent the other,
let me find
been in
that.
the packet I sent out Sunday. And I
I
dated,
think
I put Piper Sandler underscore in the date so that you could.
You sent that on Sunday?
Yeah. So you could distinguish between the two.
okay.
I think I have,
You have a.
That may
I have
be.
two of July 30th in this.
Yeah, I see, that's
Oh,
what I
if you
had.
look at the signature line,
Yeah,
that's
look
where
at
the
the-
date
yeah.
difference
Oh,
is.
okay.
So you got it in the packet?
Yes,
Oh, so I know there's
The back one, was-
731, 922. So those are two different ones, but when you first open them, they look identical.
They look the
Okay,
same.
because they have the July
Yeah, that's what
30
Tina
date
said
on it.
this morning. Those are the same. And I said they were, and if I remember right, like I put in that email, you guys made changes to the,
Yeah, and I don't
That's
remember what they were.
what-
What we did, I did have a talk with him and he redid it.
yeah,
And that's what should be the 922.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That was my
page
mistake. I just looked at the front page and they both said July
The same
30. I
thing,
thought,
yeah.
well, I'm missing one
Yeah.
somewhere. So thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, so we got through Clint. And Tina, do you have a couple things?
yes, I do. I proposed a BOH meeting schedule. And I sent it to you guys. Just need to determine, because at the last meeting, we had said that we would have them in the middle of the month following the BOCC meetings. I needed you guys to let me know where location you
Right.
would like, based upon where the BOCC meetings are.
So what I found out for the one on Wednesday, on the middle of the month, it is, it's not possible to have it up here. Otherwise, we would come up here to do it. So I think we'll probably hold it down there so that people can attend.
Okay, so basically,
Or the last, I haven't had a chance, I was gonna stop by the clerk of the course and see if this room up here is open. Probably it'd be better if we came back up here.
Are you talking about the Board of Health?
Board of Health, she's just working the schedule for the,
You say it's not possible to have it up here? How
because
come?
of, it's possible to have it in this room, but it's not possible to have it in Lang Halls.
Oh, right.
So that's the issue, and we said we would open these. I want to try to get them open. So let's, why don't you check
Check with
with
the
her?
clerk's office?
And
Okay.
if the clerk, if it's open, it'd be best to do it in there
okay.
after them.
And then I wanted to also bring your attention on June 16th. The BOCC meeting is at the San Isabel Lodge, which starts at noon. So there's no way we could have the BOH meeting at 1:30.
Yeah, have to be back up here. And it'll either be, is that on Friday
That's a Wednesday.
or
They're all
Wednesday?
Wednesdays.
So we'll check with Lang Hall always first because it gets canceled, but they have a continuing activity that goes on Wednesdays. but it may get canceled then. So just stay on top of that, and then we'll put it in the justice or in the courtroom or somewhere else.
Well, there's no reason we can't have it here.
No, not in this room.
Okay.
We can always fall back to this room. Oh, and by that reminds me, I had a request. Even in this room, it's okay for one or two people to attend. And we always have no general public in the boardroom. That's just not true. We bring.
Yeah, I
people
need
when
to
it's
take that
needed.
off.
Take that off of there,
I've got it on my list.
including
Take it off.
on our agendas. They all say nobody's allowed in here.
Oh,
So Tina, are you on that June 16th, you're thinking,
You could either have it in the morning before the BOCC. It's your call.
because the meeting in San Isabel
Starts at noon.
starts at noon, so we either have to kick this one back or kick it forward one way or the other.
That's right. So we got, let's take a look at how San Isabel smokes out between now and then, because they may not be an option. And then let's sort of bring that up again.
Okay,
Might leave it the same until,
I just leave it alone until that's in June.
Mhm.
okay,
The whole world may change by then. Who knows the way it's going?
okay, thank you.
Hopefully we'll be more open. We can have our meetings back in this room. Okay, anything else, Tina?
No.
That credit card's all sorted out?
I'm still working on that.
Okay, good. Okay, any public comment before we get into our agenda? And I don't have it up where I can see them. Looks like we got 7 online. And is anybody public comment? I'll open it for a minute or two here. See anybody? Anything in here? Any items to talk about? No. Okay. All right, hearing none, let's move on. Staff reports. How about that airport? Are you orbiting the field?
Yeah, been in a
In
holding
a
pattern.
holding pattern, but you had the least holding pattern of the day, and you're lucky because yesterday Tracy Ballard sat there for, I think, 2.5 hours waiting to get in.
My goodness,
That's a holding pattern.
that's a whole. Good morning, guys.
How you doing?
All right.
You're full of good news, I hope.
Well, it's not anything bad.
That's
so,
good. So it is good news.
Yeah. Ready to copy down some fuel
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
January sales, 431 gallons, 16.15 and 15 cents is the dollar amount.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How'd that compare with last January? More or less. Be interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's still 1,793 gallons in the tank, so we're good for a little bit. Although the first 2 days of February, with some flying weather that I even went. yesterday.
You did? I didn't know
We
you were
sold 75. It took it a while to warm up. 75 gallons in 2 days. So.
That was nice weather.
Yeah. If the weather warms up, we'll sell some fuel. So, yeah. So then our last meeting, we were talking about planning an air fest for August. No date yet. Spring cleanup day. Not a lot at this point.
Yeah, so I signed the check for the tank.
That was one of the questions Brian wanted me to ask
Yeah.
if, okay.
And it's
how much was it?
17, or what was it, 35,600, whatever it was. I don't have a copy of it. It was nearly 36,000.
So the first part has been paid.
Half was exactly half of what your
Right.
price was, which was 71,000 some change or whatever.
Cool. Yeah. So then,
Oh, and I did talk to them too.
good.
The Basso. So they were, and I guess JC had been dealing with them. And Donna needed the address, so they sent a credit card reference thing for everybody to fill out. Well, they were treating us like we were applying for credit. So I had to straighten that out. It was interesting.
Well, in a way, I
They
guess
just
we
wait a
are.
minute now. Why are we doing that? They said.
Right.
Our CFO did.
Well, good. So then we are based on with talking about the fuel tank yet. We're gonna do a workshop
Meetings
tomorrow.
on tomorrow
Yeah,
at
10.
10 again.
I would like to have you all attend, but I understand we need to post that.
Well, if you want us to attend, we'll post it. Who can go?
If you, yeah,
I will not be able to do it.
okay,
I'm going to Oklahoma to swear my son, give him the oath of promotion to captain.
cool.
So Tom, can you go
What day is it?
tomorrow afternoon or morning?
Tomorrow morning at 10.
Out there, either one of you. What they're going to discuss is options on the future. It involves the future plans for that ramp. And is it smart to put the tank where it is now, or is it smart to dig a hole in the asphalt and put it where it's going to go? And the cost that
Right.
falls on both. It's just so it'd be for information, no decision from us. But
Correct.
you're going
We're
to
just gonna try
get your
to
act together.
Think about
Make a
where we need to pour
recommendation.
this pad.
Right.
Because that tank then, if you've paid already,
It'll be here and well, they're looking for a March.
March delivery sometime.
That's what I'm understanding.
Okay,
And I apologize, I won't be able to make it.
okay.
I've got a meeting with tourism at 9 and a meeting with broadband.
So why don't you just,
So what-
you'll build the options and come on to us. We can have a separate meeting, or we can do it like this just put it on an agenda item just for info.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and try to model our way.
And I'll
through that.
tag up with you back and see what you're doing.
You know, in reality, it's probably good to think about putting it where it might eventually go.
I think it is. Personally.
But there'll be more expense to that.
It's more expensive to move it after you've planted it. It's a little bit more expensive to do it now because you got to drag a trench over there with power.
Right.
But that's not too expensive.
No.
Big picture.
It's not too far away.
Yeah.
It's not 3,000 feet away. All right. So I don't have anything on the AWAS. So if you got a little scoop.
We're all
on the
caught up
AWAS.
on AWAS, so there's no issues with price or anything now.
So they were supposed to have that going March too.
I got a call. That's right. I meant to report that from their engineer looking for a surveyor, and I got Kit Shy's number to him because they need to get a survey benchmark out there to locate that AWAS so that it's actually physically navigatable.
Right.
So I need to follow up with Ken, left him a message, and I'll make sure that he's there.
Okay.
And
That's all I got, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, winter months were kind of quiet. I've been keeping the snow off of stuff.
Oh, yeah, is that right?
Yeah. So,
Do you have any questions from when you were there and visited that you might have thought to ask now?
No, actually not. It was a pretty informative meeting. Hopefully I digested most of it. So,
keep coming. Yeah,
Nothing
certainly
else.
welcome. Huh?
Bob McDonald. I guess, Tina, you got a hold of everybody, you got their addresses for the credit cards, right? Okay.
Yeah, she got everybody's email, I believe. She requested that, so
Okay. That was easy. Where's the donuts?
I know. Where are they? Candy bars, I guess, but
And you're aware we're meeting out at the airport on May 19th,
May 9th.
19th.
19.
Okay. No, that was one of my questions, but I heard you talking about other meetings, so
Yeah. we'll
didn't know if you had us locked
bring
in
the
yet or not.
public out there as well. And hopefully by then we won't have the constraints that we do today.
Yeah, and then we can do lunch again.
Should, yeah, it'd be nice.
All right.
Anybody else? All right, none. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, man. Good to see you.
thank you very much.
Donna out there by chance?
She's coming. Before Donna gets here, I just was thinking about something that I didn't put hiring a PIO person on the agenda. Do we need to have that on the agenda? Custer separate.
I don't, Clint, I don't think so.
Doing that as a workshop.
It's a workshop and we're coming out of that to discuss it. It was the intent. Remember, we had the, we were gonna recess and then reconvene.
Right.
That shouldn't be an issue because we come out of a workshop. That's legitimate, isn't it?
You're too germy up there.
I don't think we have it on any agenda to hire a PIO. We can't do it in the workshop.
No, that's right. That's why we were gonna reconvene and have a
And
discussion.
it should be an agenda item.
Right.
Kelly, can you amend it? I guess
Boy, you're,
Can we amend it?
you're brave.
not in 24 hours.
I just say we better postpone it till we can get it on an agenda.
Maybe, what do you think? We were trying to get one hired as soon as we could. That's was why we discussed having the recess and we were gonna do that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry it didn't,
Well, yeah.
I didn't catch it on the form here, but, because we were having the executive session, we always come out of executive session into the meeting.
Well, we'll do it on the 16th, huh?
17.
Or 17th, I mean, sorry.
Just put it in there.
When we've done, I'm trying to think. Actually, when you've done other workshops for hiring,
We've always,
you come out, I mean, and I don't
I
remember,
think
do we?
we've done it as a special meeting.
we had a meeting, but
Yeah.
this is a meeting, though. We're still in a meeting.
But it's,
We never did say we were gonna hire him when we,
It's not on the agendas.
but you come out and make a decision
right,
at that time from these closed workshops.
Right.
And is it published that way, that it's just published as a closed workshop? Isn't it?
right.
Correct.
So technically, I suppose you shouldn't be coming out and having a public meeting then where you make a decision, but that's generally.
But
what you
it's,
do.
but people know that we will convene after that workshop.
I suppose the question is, how urgent is this to get a PIO on board?
Well, everybody was clamoring for one, and then I know we've had, and I personally would like to get it as soon as possible.
Well,
I don't know that it'll make a
you
big.
could come out, I mean, you could decide that this is urgent enough that you want to take some action now and then ratify it officially at your next meeting, but
We could do that. So
Yeah.
we can have, why don't we discuss that?
Have a special meeting tomorrow. You can always call a special meeting.
that would be the other option, is to just. put
Well, let's just-
24 hours.
Let's go through the workshop. We're gonna have to come. We can always recess this meeting and for the workshop and then come back in after the workshop and if it seems to be a critical thing, we could discuss it then.
Or continue it over for 24 hours through, so it can be posted as an agenda. It would be the sole agenda item then for a
That's true, we
special
can do
meeting.
that.
All right. Yeah, I won't feel comfortable voting on to hire somebody
I agree.
that we don't have it on the agenda and people don't have advance notice.
True. Well, we don't have to recess. We could just go ahead and just make it so, make it.
Well, whether you recess or it's not an agenda item. it's still-
No, I know, I understand that, unless we had a discussion during that workshop that would suggest that we need to make a decision. I don't know why we would.
Got along with that PIO for a while, so.
Yeah, I think
another
it's,
week
I
or
think we
so,
can wait.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not quite, I guess it is.
I would be open probably to go either a 24-hour or go ahead and do it on the 17th, either one.
No, there's an expectation that, I wish we'd have done it. Well, let's, we'll recess and then let's, let me come out of that. Okay. So moving along, is Donna ready?
I really don't have anything. I don't have my handwritten. Don't have my bills in. Really, I've got nothing else pressing.
Any issues over there? How's your new,
1099s, it's
how's it feel being the boss? They're working out?
of that gigantor pile of, no, yeah, it doesn't matter.
I think he was asking, but you knew.
You knew
Yeah, so I
I,
mean, of that gigantic mess of work over there, yeah, it's no different.
Still got a lot to do.
But yeah, she's great though. She's, it's a bummer for her to come in this late with that conversion coming up in just like 4 weeks, so.
What's going to be the issue? What's bugging you?
Have you ever done a conversion?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what your perspective is. What's the biggest thing going to be?
Payroll to have it all mesh. That I'll have 3 months of one system and have it all my totals match. And then of course you have the AP and then I have the accounting side. So I'm doing like 3 conversions at once.
So who's doing that exactly?
Whoever, and actually I never even got to go to any of the meetings. The assessor, the treasurer, and Tom went to the kickoff meeting because I was in the middle of payroll. So I've never even saw the system work. I have 0 expectations or knowledge of what it does or how it works.
So they need to, before they cut over, usually what they do is, you would test it before you'd ever cut
Right,
into
we'll have
it.
dual
So
entry.
they'll have entries.
Is there a way for you to get some training on this since you missed these other meetings?
We do it at the time. I mean, it's just a play-by-play when I put the payroll on ACS or whatever it's called now. So do it on the other side. We'll have dual entries going, so it'll be twice as much until it can get all the.
So what is the
buttons
schedule then, Donna? What's the date
out.
exactly?
I don't have the whole sheet. I believe I can't remember and I think we're doing a little separate. The treasurer maybe cuts over at one point and then the assessor and then I'm last. I don't have the sheets with me. It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah. Well, let us know timing wise, because we'll probably ought to be braced for whatever.
Yeah, tell people to save their last
And
paycheck.
Vernon's
just
in the middle of
case.
it, right? Yeah. And Vern will be in the middle of this with me. isn't he?
Is there's a lot of things that I think Vernon can do for me. With flash drives, like the whole vendor, but we have like 5,000 vendors. What a bummer to lose that and have to start over and retype all those in. And, just a lot of codes, a lot of things to make sure they all match. But Vernon will be more than tired of this when it's over because he'll have it from all 3 departments.
You said that approximate date was,
I believe we should be on the new by July 1st, but it could be June. I'll have, you guys can
Okay.
come over and see the packet. It's a huge chunk. But they're pulling different files. Right now, my payroll file cannot be pulled because, they're right in the middle of year end. I mean, we're only
They are.
3 days out of the deadline for W-2s. And so they're still working with people who are having struggles. So we can't, I mean, I don't want to annoy them while I'm wanting them to give me a good set of files.
I was just trying to see.
But yeah, they've been really, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of sheets and a lot of different dates for everybody for different parts. I think Susie's already been working on some things. Like on January 1st, she could start working on some of her things. So everybody's got a different timeline for their stuff.
Okay. Well, anybody else?
Anybody want to come help?
Yes.
Yes, there you go. I hear that.
what was the quality of help that you wanted?
Well, there's 7 of us.
You want us all tripping
Surely
over
you could get
each
one
other?
good one out of 7 of us, right?
We will,
You're overestimating.
Sometimes no help is better.
that's for sure.
There.
Well, all right, if you're good,
Yeah,
do I need to stop by and sign anything later then?
nope, I have that one. I may, if we've not gotten the mail today. I'm waiting for the Sands Bell electric bills. Because it is only the 3rd. They only read the meter on the last day, so it takes a little bit for them to get there. When the meetings are so quick in the month, I can't quite have my handwritten done and ready to go.
Well, then do me a favor, you can take this with you. See if you have a copy of this, and then I would like you to them up. This is Armstrong. This should be their last invoice. And now I want to make sure it's what we're actually gonna.
The 6290.
You want to, we already did. If that is, we need to know what their last, and the guy's name,
Okay.
E-Tech or whatever. his name is, Like,
Oh, yeah, Eric. Okay.
yeah. Find out, we need his most current invoice.
Okay, perfect. I will do that.
That we owe, should be only one outstanding.
Okay. I will let you know.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Okay, everybody ready to take a break? Because we've been at it for a half an hour. Usually we're sailing. Treasurer's report, is Virginia not coming? She gave us the report.
She usually doesn't.
Yeah. And we had 2 copies.
No, I think the one that I put in your packet, I thought that's the one she gave me, but that was from December. And so the one
The
I,
one with the tag.
yeah, that's the January one.
Yeah. I thought. And then Justice Center Fund. Good. The only question I had, what is the $2 million? That was lieu of tax. The beginning balance. And it's the same. I guess that's what it was. I get it. Any questions? Kevin, you seen anything?
No, I think
catches your eye, Tom?
You were commenting on the lieu of tax. That's probably, that's your other guild fund, not your fire one,
I think
probably.
It may be,
I think it would be.
but I don't know why.
Title one.
She just calls it lieu of tax. I haven't seen that before. I thought I saw pill.
Title one funds.
Yeah. Anything from you, Tom?
No.
All right, I hear a motion to accept it.
I would make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as given.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Accept the report. Any comments, any other discussion? Clint, you good with it?
Sure,
Okay.
never understand it anyway. That's why I haven't made any money.
It's all magic. Okay, and hearing none, I'll take the vote then. All in favor, say aye, Tom.
All right.
Kevin?
Aye.
Can't aye.
Then you just gotta
I'll
sign that next.
This one.
Yeah.
Thanks. Vernon out there?
Yes, sir.
How we doing, Vernon?
Well, thank you. Good morning, sir. Good morning, all.
Morning.
How's the IT world?
Oh, it's the it, so we just keep on
It's
keeping
the
on.
cat's meow.
That's right. That is right. Things are going well, most notably this month. Of course, setting up the vaccination clinic, all the tech for that, all the computers, everything over there, the telephones, the Google numbers, all of that. So that's most notable. We're setting up new computers for different departments. Also the sheriff's office. They got a grant for some computers for telehealth and conferencing with the courts. So that's very nice. Basically what it means is that we don't have to drive all over the state picking people up. We can teleconference in and it's a
Good
much
idea.
better system. Yeah. Through WebEx, they can actually teleconference right into the courtroom. So
WebEx seems to be a pretty good system. Is that true?
it is. It is a good system. It has its issues just like Zoom, but
State of Colorado uses it. Right?
Mhm, yep.
It's
It's a little bit more exclusive than Zoom. Pardon me.
makes it more safe.
It's
Or
more,
less hackable.
it's more secure, yeah. Yes, indeed. It'd be a little bit more work to set everything up, and I don't know about having the public log into it. So I'll have to look and see what level that would be.
Okay.
So.
And then the Wetmore broadband.
Wetmore, what we're going to do is actually, we have that teleconferencing, or excuse me, we have that conference call phone. We will set up a Zoom call just exactly like we do, but it'll go right into that conference call phone. And we won't have video, but anyone will be able to log in and listen. So if that's agreeable.
Yeah, that's a better choice than trying
to set up the cameras and all that stuff down there. It will be through a telephone line instead of through the internet. We checked AT&T. It's pretty slow. The actual internet to the building is actually faster than any hotspot we could set up.
So does that mean they CenturyLink hooked to that building up on the telephone line on the fiber? And so it's copper for part of the way into the building, is that?
It's copper into the building, and they must have attached into the fiber at a DMARC box.
It's got pretty good.
Outside. It's got pretty decent internet connection. It's at 1818 right now, so that means that they are they're probably, their fiber came into here's the library. The fiber came into a certain point, and the rest is copper. So
that's what it happened at my house. It was better, but it still has Zoom dropouts.
Gotcha. Understood. So that's what we're looking at there. It's down in a gully, so the AT&T hotspots don't work very well. The native internet there at the building is actually faster than any hotspots we can give. So
the only thing you could do would be like you did here and aim a wireless link into the building off of a tower somewhere.
Yeah, if we had access to a higher speed connection, we could do that. There's these little drone things that you send up, and they pick up the cell phone connection and they rebroadcast.
It's hard to keep a drone up for 5 hours.
No, actually they have wired drones that stay aloft for 24 hours now.
Really?
Yes, exactly. It's a system for actually applications, emergency applications, that type of thing. You set up a wired drone, its power source is on the ground, it just sits there and flies.
I see, so no battery on it.
Exactly. And then it has it picks up an internet signal from a wireless carrier, let's say AT&T or FirstNet, and then it rebroadcasts it as a repeater. Right, exactly. So those are, they're pretty cool little system that's being innovated right now.
Vernon?
Yes, sir. I'm not spending any money.
You saw the twinkle.
Yes.
Maybe put a little water on it, Mike.
Right, exactly. That's okay. I'm a patient gardener.
That's right.
Yeah. That's all right.
Good chance you can outlast us.
Yeah. So any other issue? Computer, you get a dedicated computer in this room.
Yes, we'll have to do a dedicated computer for the Zoom calls in this room. Just doing the Zoom and trying to do email and documents and stuff, it just bogs it down. That's why the Zoom call went weird yesterday. So we've got dedicated a computer to just Zoom from now on.
And how about these computers? Did we decide they're okay now from Apple?
Well, this one's brand new. And if it depends on, well, I understand your R is still
You
being
got a keyboard?
frustrating. Yeah, a keyboard issue.
I had one too.
But we cleaned
We
it out.
fixed that one.
Yeah, some can be fixed. Some are more reticent. Maybe recalcitrant is the better word because it's calcification in there.
Yeah.
So we'll take a look and see and look at budgets and see if new computers are all the way around or a better way to go.
Okay. What else was there?
Yes, I am anxiously awaiting with bated breath this conversion to CIC.
Oh, yeah.
Conversion is the longest four-letter word in history. It's always an adventure.
So have you worked with this company before?
I talked with them quite a bit in the early stages, and it looks like it will be a good system once we get converted over.
So
It's
they've
just a
done
matter
it
of
before. And it's
Oh
not
yeah,
like
they've
it's
done it
new to
before.
them.
Yes, and they actually have a package, ACS to CIC package that they're working with us with. It's just a matter of finding all the data that we have on the ACS side and bundling that all up and putting it into the system on the other side so that the data is not lost. As she said, 5,000 vendors. Really, it's the data just needs to be preserved, making certain we all get our paychecks.
Yeah, that money talks, you know.
That's true. Yes, indeed.
Well, we could always get them the next month or the month after.
$5,000 a day fine from NOLA per person.
They're so misunderstanding.
5,000 a day.
5,000 a day.
Yeah,
Yes.
they expect us to pay our people, don't they?
Yep.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman,
Go
if I may. So we voted to open up the meetings, correct? Both here and down in Wetmore. So why are we Zooming the meetings if we're open to the public?
Double redundancy. No reason why we can't, because right now, depending on where we open the meeting up, we get 3 people in this room and nobody else can come in. Be my,
Well, I'm talking about the meeting on 17th in Wetmore.
Yeah.
Why are we
Now,
Zooming that
we
if we
could,
opened it up to the public?
that was the same rationale. There's what, 20 people we can get in down there. Maybe that's the max we're ever gonna get. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But having it on the phone call for people that, you know, especially if it's an issue that they want to be there and they can't because they're for other reasons, I think it's okay to put it on the phone. I don't have a problem with that.
Were you, before the shutdown, so to speak, were the meetings being broadcast at that point?
They were all live streamed.
In Wetmore?
No, in Wetmore,
I'm talking
we
about
have a, okay.
Wetmore, we had
You were asking about it.
In general, I didn't know, I didn't know that you were
Put the phone
specifying
on
Wetmore.
Yeah, Wetmore was usually a conference call. We have that little star system for a conference call, so that people can be there live or people can call in.
which is what we're gonna do now.
Okay.
We never did conference call.
One time
Never
we
did?
tried it, it didn't work.
Oh, really? Oh,
I thought we
okay. I
had
apologize.
put
Yeah.
that phone up several times, but maybe we didn't.
Okay. My mistake. I'm sorry. Well, we can figure out whatever you guys would like
Well, I
to
think
see.
there's no harm. It's not a foul to have an open meeting, have a telephone open.
Okay.
That's not an issue. If it was gonna cost us a lot of time and money to Zoom it, that would be another story.
We'll go down with the conference call phone system to set it up beforehand to make certain that it's functional. As to your question, for meetings in general, the tradition was that any meetings held here were live streamed. We used something called a Mevo, which this has replaced. They were live streamed out to YouTube so that people could actually see and with what was going on, as well as the recording was, the audio recording was also put out. The Zoom
Usually
makes
the
it,
audio recording had more granularity than the other one didn't it? Or was the?
yeah, it was seamless.
Yeah.
Kelly has it all together. The Mevo, the live stream was not. Usually Zoom is much better than our system that we were using before. And then basically the Zoom just makes it interactive rather than a single stream that somebody could watch later on.
And the audio recording is not live. They can go and access that after we post it to the website.
Yes.
Bad audio.
Well, and the live stream is recorded. It's so anyone can go and see it in the future after the meeting.
Well, I've never obviously watched a live stream during the meeting. Is there a lag time for somebody?
There is.
outside the
There's between 5 and 14 seconds or so.
That's why we have to wait and listen for a little bit before.
Well, the Zoom, there's about a second lag, because they can't have a 14-second lag, obviously, on a conference call. That would be outrageous.
We'd be stepping all over each other.
Right, exactly.
I think I heard that lag when you set up the laptop yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Short lag.
Just for that short little,
Yeah, there is one.
yeah. Yep. But I'd live to serve, whatever you guys want me to do. If you want it to be
We
a
don't have to Zoom it down there.
Okay.
The conference call.
Conference call is fine.
For now.
all right. If it's all right, the conference call, rather than setting up another telephone, Zoom has a conference call number. That's not through the internet. You can literally just call it on your phone and we can, if that's all right, or I can go back to the free conference call system that we had before.
Whatever you think is more.
I think the Zoom would be easier because the data, the information is already out there. People can either call in
phone
with a
number
telephone.
on here. Is that a Zoom phone number with the passcode?
Yes, sir.
Same
So
thing.
it'll be the same phone number?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
That makes it easy.
That would be the easiest way to go rather than shifting horses midstream.
Sure.
And we pay for it anyway, so it works.
That'll work. Any other new widget that you want to sow?
So the seeds for, well, no, I'm good, thank you.
We are finding foggers.
Yeah, I know where would you like
I
to set
was
up?
wondering, we were looking for them at one time
Oh, they're in the equipment room.
in the juice form.
Everything's, it hasn't, it's been used once, I believe. So would you like me to give it to Stephanie? Thank you.
I think if she's using it, I don't think she is. She's wiping things down.
Okay,
I talked to her about it,
all right, I will do so.
but I thought they're not using it on these Lang Hall vaccination meetings.
From what I understand, no. I think they have someone that comes in and scrubs everything down.
Eric does.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we talked about and agreed to use the foggers at Lang Hall.
Yeah, I thought so. Talked to
Okay,
Adrian and
okay, I will do so.
Brown, but up to them, it'd be easier to use that than, and they can all.
Well, remember that the
course, at Lang Hall, I have no
foggers only kill things in the air. So you still have to scrub down surfaces.
I thought it hit the surface too.
It lands on the surface, but you have to go through it. It says in the
Wipe it
instructions, you
anyway.
have to wipe it down after the
Well, ask me
fogging
if
is
it's
done.
necessary. I maybe it didn't.
I will get it to them and find out who's doing the cleaning, so.
I talked to Rick Parent.
Okay,
He's running the show.
oh,
They
okay,
have somebody hired to clean there after every meeting.
I see, okay,
The gal that was doing Butler's Conoco station when they had the restaurant. Erica is her first name. Can't remember for sure what her last name.
okay. I'll reach out to Rick Parent,
I'll give it.
Adrian and see. Okay,
Anything else, guys? Is Mr. Washington out there?
yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thanks.
You appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Thanks for that.
You will.
I'm gonna give a minute to long. Good morning.
Morning.
How we doing?
I'm good.
So you're driving a Cadillac now here.
I am driving a Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln now. That's true. The Lincoln's a Ford.
Yes. This morning.
Give you a little more room there.
Okay. So in your packets, you have my staff report for the months of December and January. The 2 months kind of ran together. There's just a whole lot to report. I think it's kind of amazing when you go look at what we've accomplished over those last couple months in terms of the vaccination program, developing a system to track it. It's all kind of impressive. There is an error on the last page. It is OEM, not OEN. So I missed that one. But it's kind of amazing, to see where we were and where we've come.
Office of Emergency Knits.
Yes, there you go. I don't know if that's telling me something or not. In the report, though, on the very top on page 1, I just want to just briefly go over the grant programs that we are currently involved in.
And so obviously, the first one on the column, the EMPG grant, is a reimbursable grant. So we can expect to receive a check for $8,169 from the state on that.
That was one that's just for the stock,
That's-
normal course of business, right?
Yes, that is the EMPG grant that pays a portion of my salary.
Mhm.
The next one is the troublesome fire reimbursement that goes to Road and Bridge. That's still active.
You haven't heard anything back?
No, I have heard back, and so I have to resubmit some additional information to them, and then they'll process.
That was our cost that we reported to them.
That is the,
They know.
yes, so they know that.
And you said that money will go to Road and Bridge?
That money is slated to go to the Road and Bridge Department because it was their
Water
equipment.
tender and
Yeah, they still have a water tendering crews, so that's a reimbursable to them. I just put that as a footnote as it was my estimate of what was left in the OEM budget for fiscal year 2020 of $13,000. That does not include reimbursables that come in fiscal year 2021.
this is just your budget period.
Yeah, that's what
No
remained.
grant involved in this one.
Yeah, that is just what's left over in the overall
Got it.
OEM budget for 2021. So I did not underspend or
It
overspend.
was the carryover.
It was the carryover that was left in. But we were able to get all the things that we needed.
Mhm.
There is a $2,500 reimbursement that came in January for a Homeland Security grant. We closed out the 2017 grant. Those funds were used to buy photography and videotaping equipment so that when we do tabletop exercises, when we're out in the field doing emergency management work, we can document photographically what we're doing out on the ground. And so there was extra money left over in that grant. And so we allocated that to that equipment. The next one, the special project grant, that grant was titled EOC in a Box. It was another special grant that I identified in my 2021 budget. What the EOC in the Box is, it's a trailer, that's the box. And then we have all of our equipment that we need to locate the EOC
Remotely,
wherever
wherever it needs to
remotely.
be.
So equipment's being purchased for that vehicle and it'll be towed behind the OEM pickup. And it's just called an EOC in the Box.
Is that the trailer that you're using, the trailer that's there currently? There?
No.
No, I'm not thinking of public health.
No, we have none, but it includes the purchase of a trailer, just all the equipment you would have in EOC.
You mentioned the trailer, you found a bigger, better trailer for less money. Or
Yeah, we found a good trailer from a dealership there in Trinidad. They gave us a real good deal. So half of that money comes from the grant. The rest is coming out of the OEM budget for 2021. The Sheriff's Office has also put in some funds and the IT department has put in some funds to make that project whole for us. And they'll be parked out over by the SARS building until we get another place to be able to park it. So that process is forward.
Speak up a little bit.
Okay, so that grant is in process. The state has it now and they've assured us that it'll get reimbursed.
And that's the name of the grant, is a special project grant?
It's a special project grant
From,
the emergency management at the state level. And it's a 50-50 cost share. So they gave us 50% and we came up with 50%.
Mhm.
And so this 13,000 will buy the trailer and
all the equipment. Yes, sir. And so there's bids. If you need to see that, I have a packet that has everything that we're buying in the packet, and I can show that to you if you desire to see that. The next one is the OEM vehicle grant. We can talk about that later in it's on the agenda,
Yes,
but I have signature pages. I did speak with Clint as we were preparing that grant, and so you could ask Clint what he thought about it. In terms of the paperwork, it's a $50,000 equipment replacement grant. And we went that route because originally we were told that they might not be able to repair the OEM vehicle because of blown engine. That engine's no longer available. They did locate an engine in New Jersey and they
Is that a
shipped it
new
out.
engine?
It is not a new engine. It's a
rebuild.
rebuilt engine, and Ford is just not
You
rebuilding.
know who rebuilt it? Was it Jack?
Jasper.
Jasper.
I'm not certain on that. That's a question. The documentation will be sent up here from Pharisee. There's doing the analytical
We can talk
on the
about that.
engine to determine what was the actual cause, but it appears to be oil starvation over a prolonged period of time. What we could have done with that vehicle, just speaking on the OEM vehicle, if we had been more aware of things, the third time that it went in for that oil pan replacement, it could have been replaced under the limit law. And so we lost that. That limit law is only available.
Keeping the limit longer makes it not valid. Give me a break.
Well, the limit law is only good for the first year. So if we had been more diligent, I think we just need to watch that with vehicles in the future. If we're having problems with the vehicle, it's best to.
Having that oil pan problem probably plugged up some journals or some oil ports in there, whatever. Probably a problem that was insidious the whole time.
Yep. And so it's good now, but they said yesterday it's the same engine and it'll have the same problems. So we'll still have oil pan problems likely. And so this OEM vehicle grant is, the intent of this grant is to seek the funds to replace that vehicle if we so choose to go that route. And it's a 50,000, it's not a cost share grant, but they look at what the county can provide and then what they grant. So it's up to 50,000, but they assured us because of the estimates that we submitted that we would be able to get 50,000 toward the replacement of that
Because they
vehicle.
figured our vehicle was worth something.
Yeah, the OEM vehicle after the engine replaced had a fair market value of $24,000. Before the engine was replaced, it had a fair market value of $14,000. So today, the current value is $24,000. Being that there's a 5-year grant on that, that doesn't expire until March of 2021, we cannot just trade the vehicle or sell the vehicle. We have to get state approval. And so that approval language has gone to the state. The state requested that we get a fair market value on the truck. And so we've done that. That paperwork is up in the state and they'll tell us how we can proceed should we want to.
So timing wise, how much time does it take to get approval of the granting? Sounds like you're quite a ways along.
Once we send the paperwork in today, they will start processing the grant application. The time frame that we identified in the grant application would be that we potentially would seek a new vehicle sometime in April of 2021.
So in theory, in April of this year,
of this year,
you could purchase a vehicle with no cost to the county.
Theoretically, yes, we could purchase
Keep it under 74,000.
Yes, we could purchase a vehicle with no cost to the county, should we choose to do that. And we have estimates for all of that. That's in the packet. It's a special service vehicle bought under a government grant. And so
Are they expecting us, if we do submit the grant, to follow through with it? Can we turn it down if we decided not to?
you always have the right.
Without prejudice.
I won't say without prejudice. They don't like you to enter into this process and not
So we
proceed.
want to make sure we have a decision to.
Yes.
proceed.
Yeah, we would like to have a decision so that they don't spend a lot of time processing a grant
How many miles is on
application.
that truck?
It's got 26,000 miles on it.
Okay, thanks.
And then, if we elect to keep the vehicle and if we wanted to go for the grant anyway, there are other agencies within the county that might be able to use that vehicle. So just,
Yeah, why don't we defer this till we get to the
Yeah,
agenda?
let's
Okay.
talk about it.
okay, very good. Our volunteer hours for the cycle's a 2-month cycle is 167 hours. Those were all volunteer hours. One of the volunteers became a temp employee for the county.
Who's that?
That is Lay Culbertson. He became one of our temps and
Later leave.
Lee,
Cuthbertson.
yes.
Yeah,
CUL.
there's Culbertson there, but
Okay, correct that.
Cut versus.
Okay.
So what's he doing? I mean, we did talk with him. Seems to be a pretty sharp guy. It's good hand.
Well, he's going to be our lead over the other two volunteers at this particular time. He's been there the longest. He knows our program and our system. What the temps are doing right now is just working through our listing to make sure are accurate. We're constantly having to change information because information is changing. Because we don't have vaccine available in the county right now. Today, they're recommending to some folks in the county that they go to some of these other clinics that are being held so that they can get their vaccinations sooner
If they're
than later, if they
they
qualify.
want to.
Yes.
We're not telling them to go.
No, we only are providing them that opportunity. And so when you see this, I think you will see kind of us ramping up and then dropping off very rapidly in the support of public health. It's not that we're not supporting them, but we no longer need to have an EOC activated at level 1. So the decision was made the last week of January to deactivate the EOC, and that has happened. And we'll have daily briefings, weekly briefings at 08:30 on Fridays until the COVID situation is completely resolved.
Say the timing on that. Are you doing it the first and the last of the week or just the?
No, we're just going to do it at the end of the week on Fridays at 08:30. There'll be just a short briefing so that.
Summary of the week.
Yes, a summary of the week.
And the temporaries, who do they work for, OEM or public health?
Currently, I'm providing the oversight for them, but ultimately they work for public health.
Part of the vaccination.
And so we work kind
That's
of.
where the budget is.
That is correct. We work together. We are transitioning from the OEM supervision to the public health supervision, but they're in that building. That's where they're comfortable. That's where there's room available at this point in time. So
In which building?
SARS.
they're in the SARS building.
You got a good relationship with SARS?
We do. We're having a good relationship. And then when we're vaccinating, then they're over in the vaccination clinic to help out over there. They are they're very wise people. And so when we don't have the hours, they work a half day and they go home. When we have work to do, they get the work done and then they go home. And so that's how that's been kind of working. But if you look at this, I think you'll see how we steadily started going up in the early part of December. We recognized the situation that we needed to put together a plan. We put together that plan. The plan was implemented. And then we scaled down, and that's how emergency management tends to work. So I just encourage you, because you guys honestly can take a lot of credit for what we were able to accomplish in the county to get the citizens of the county vaccinated. And we couldn't have done it without us working together as a team. So I thank you for that. I thank you for your support.
We've hired how many temps so far?
We have 3 on the books,
Okay. 3 being paid now.
3 being paid.
I know they're paid as they work. So if they work 3 hours in a day, that's it.
Yes, sir. And they fully understand that.
Yeah. And or take your next day off.
Yes. So any questions on the report?
No, just real quick, you're still involved with, is OEM at a state level still involved in the vaccination program?
Yes, they are.
Are they have any clue when we're going to get any more vaccination?
We do not.
And we have an order in though, and they're supposed to let us know when. Friday.
Typically, we order on Tuesdays, and we would like to know on Tuesdays, but we did not receive one of the few counties in the last couple of weeks that have received no first shot vaccine. They have made us whole with our second shot vaccine, but we have not received any new first shot vaccine.
Yet they're giving Safeway, how many? I heard 100,000 shots.
33,000.
I mean, crazy.
That's what Safeways receive statewide.
We don't have a Safeway.
And so they are looking at it. There are citizens from Custer County who have gone down to Safeways and have been vaccinated.
Okay.
So if I may, sir.
Go ahead.
Your January 1 note, continuing to set up a Google Voice hotline, public health. The current hotline is in OEM or is it in public health?
The hotline is a Google hotline, so it's a virtual hotline. So it's neither at OEM or a
It's a
public.
hotline for either use, is that?
It's a hotline for both agencies to use. It's a number,
Okay.
but it's what we call virtual. It's a virtual hotline.
Okay. And then the other number, it goes to OEM's office or public health?
No, the only number that they receive when they call the hotline is a hotline number. And on the hotline, they're told that we will call them back. for
It's a
schedule.
vaccination hotline.
It's a vaccination hotline, period. It's not a public hotline, if that answers your question.
Understood. I'm just saying it's strictly still voice.
It's strictly a voice hotline, but this,
No, a voice message. They don't
Voice
talk
message.
To a live person.
no, they do not talk to a live person, but we're right on top of it. So when a call is received, we can see that call immediately. We can monitor the calls when they're actually phoning in, so we can hear what people are saying, their concerns. And then if it's a big enough concern, we'll call them back immediately and
So you
address
screen the
concern.
calls immediately and then prioritize.
During the 8-hour workday,
Yeah.
or when staff is available, we screen the calls immediately and we respond immediately. So we are not, and initially we had a large backload and you guys asked us to address that, so we addressed that. The other site that we use is on the county website, and we're constantly revamping that site as conditions change.
So is the call volume gone way down, or is it tapering off?
It depends what comes out of Denver. So when the governor said we're going to be vaccinating the 65 to 70 group, we were inundated with calls. So depending on what he says at his press conference, it reflects the call load that we receive. And then we staff up accordingly to try to respond to the
But
calls.
you get the calls and you start,
We get the calls, we schedule, then people go elsewhere to get vaccinated. Some of them call us, some of them do not, and that creates a problem because we may have people in the database that are receiving shots elsewhere that we don't know. And so when we go to schedule, instead of just being able to call from your database and go right through your database, you call and you find out then that the person has received the shot.
we don't need to go into
No.
other detail, but I understand there's people from Denver calling in as well.
There are people from all over the
Percentage-wise,
country.
That's not a big.
It's a small percentage, less than 1%.
So who's in charge of the phone calling whole system? Public health or your office?
I would say it's a unified system but we have the primary responsibility for monitoring the calls at this point in time. So that's public health, but we work together. So the primary responsibility for scheduling, answering the calls that come into hotline, pulling the information off the county webpage is with Lee's folks.
He's working for you.
He works for public health, but he's also,
Well, are you managing him or not?
I do manage him at this time. So I would say also that he's dual managed. So he reports to me, also reports to the
That's okay, I
doctor.
understand. And that's your, by the state. That's what they expected.
Yeah, as late as this morning, I had a call complaining about the whole phone thing. Person said they were treated rudely, couldn't get any information. So I don't even know who to carry that message to, whether it's to both of you or.
Sounds like it's.
Well, if we have a name, we can address and you don't have to give us a name, but
Say it was a recording that he had a problem with, Tom, or just an actual person that called him back? Or
She just said that she was treated rudely when she called in. That's all I know.
got a number, he can call her back on, figure out.
I can here.
That's probably the thing to do.
and or else
That way you can see what, if it was a
if you
process
like,
problem.
Tom, I can take that call myself and I will personally call that lady and find out what the issues are.
Well, apparently the issue is she was talked to rudely. That's all I know. I can find out some more. Doesn't matter who it is. If it's happening, we need to address it, but I didn't even know who to talk to. So I don't know who was in charge of the phone thing.
I think it's good you just take it.
Well,
Both of you, I'll talk to both of you.
But if you'd like me to intercede on that, I'll take the call and I can assure you when I'm done, she'll be treated not
Find
rudely.
out what it was. We gotta fix whatever the problem is, or it might just be who knows? You just
Yeah,
need to
I
talk.
don't know. But I do listen to how my staff interacts with the public on a continual basis, and I have not
I think,
witnessed that.
I think I haven't gotten any complaints. I got a couple compliments on how the process and how professional and friendly people have been on the phone, but that's why you need to understand the circumstance.
Yeah, you have to understand the circumstances.
I've not,
But I would,
since the original stand-up where they're all complaining, they haven't been calling me back for weeks. I haven't heard anything. Yeah, except
be glad to look into it for you.
Yeah, my question was who's in charge of that? So if you're the responsible person, then so be it. We'll move forward.
anything else?
I just had one other question on December 31st. Don't need to be arrogant or hateful or whatever, but there's a word in there I don't understand. And if that word is supposed to be inundated, then I get that, but if
Yes.
not, I don't know that word.
Inundated. It should be inundated.
Okay. Thank you.
We will do that.
Yeah, no problem. I just thought.
Or overloaded.
I might not know what that.
Yes, this means overloaded. And that's,
Inundated. It's like iodine.
yeah,
Thank you.
all right.
Any other questions from us?
I think I've got most of the acronyms figured out through it, so I think I'm good.
Any public questions? Not public, but guys, anything issues for Butch? Good job. I appreciate the day-by-day blow here, Adrian. All right.
Thanks for coming in, sir. Appreciate it.
You want me to stick around for this next
Well,
item?
you're on it for it.
I am.
Yeah.
I will stick
Can
around.
be available. We got two. It's the third issue. That's the
Okay,
third item.
I'll just sit out here and relax.
Thank you. You want to take a quick break and hit the other?
Yeah, I think probably be a good idea before we get started on the new business.
Let's do that. Let's take 5 and we'll be back here at about 17 after the hour. So break. Okay, we're back in business after a quick recess. It's 20 minutes after 10, and we're moving right along. It's good. We're ready to start new business, and our first item is going to be the Kids Council, and I see Stacy is on the line here. So Stacy, if you are there and you can hear me, we'll give you time. There's no rush. No, she did it. He's open now, so he's ready.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, very good. As a matter of fact, it's the best voice we've heard all day today.
Okay, I'm going to turn my video on and just say hi, and then I'm going to turn it off because it makes my internet connection a little bit stronger.
Yeah, don't
So,
blow
hello.
your internet now. All right. Thank you, Stacey. And we'll say hi.
Yeah, so, and I just wanted to say thank you, Kelly, for just giving you guys some of those documents in your packet. It's just kind of more information for you, the overview of what early childhood councils do. And again, we're coming up on 4 years of being around. We're definitely still young and growing, but this information just kind of gives you an overview of what early childhood councils do and the core functions. Of course, it's going to vary from county to county. So what we do in Custer County is going to look extremely different than what they do up in, say, Boulder County or even Denver. So it's all relative, but this is just kind of an overview of some of the goals and functions of the councils. And I will kind of go into more specifics on what we're focusing on here in Custer. And then one of the other pages just kind of gives you an idea of different members and partnerships. It's kind of the one with all the different circles that participate. And again, it's going to vary from county to county. But currently here with Custer County, obviously we work with you guys. We have a close working relationship with public health, with DHS, with our 2 local childcare providers, with our preschool, with our school, obviously trying to get more and more just parents and families to work closely with the council. We do have some parents as members on our council. Some of those are just parents in general or parents of preschoolers. The other one, childcare resource and referral agencies. Angie Shehorn, she comes out of Pueblo and Canyon, and she's been a great resource for Custer County moving forward. So do you guys have any questions right now? And Kevin, I did get your voice message yesterday. I was working from school, so I didn't get it till late. So I will get back in touch with you privately. But I'd be happy to kind of answer any questions before I move on and kind of highlight some of the specifics that we've been focusing on and look to continue to focus on.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'd still like to meet with you if I could, but we can get together and try to set something up.
Okay,
Absolutely.
And then a quick question to Stacy is from an overview point of view, because we touch it just briefly once or twice a year. How many people do you actually have in your crew that are volunteers and paid people? Or is it, and I see your last sheet, maybe you're going to get into it though. You got a lot of stuff. You got a $53,000 balance. You got a lot of things you're doing. So if you could.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That sheet is actually completely separate. And we'll talk about that. That is actually the breakdown of the funds that we've distributed from that COVID relief grant that we got last year.
Okay. Good.
But to answer your question, I am the only paid position within Custer County Kids Council, and it's actually a part-time position. We would love to make it full-time, but that comes down to funding. Right now, we're funded through the Office of Early Childhood, and I actually just sent you the invoices that we have to turn in monthly to them. They reimburse the county, since the county's our fiscal agent, they reimburse the county for that. So we send them invoices monthly, and then we do have some small funding coming from the Beal Foundation. So that's one of the long-term goals when I was hired, was to look at additional funding to grow our council and grow it from a personnel standpoint, because right now I am the only part-time paid person. We have about 15 members, and or member organizations that are part of our council. And I'd be happy to email you guys an updated list. Some of them are formal and some of them are informal. And what I mean by that is some of them have a signed MOU to be a member with the council. It's a 2-year kind of partnership and agreement. And then we have informal partners, informal supporters of the council. I believe that Mr. Prince kind of had that role in the past, but that's something that we could talk about going forward from the commissioner standpoint. Why I don't think we need an MOU from the commissioners, because we actually have one with you guys being our fiscal agent, but we could certainly talk about if you want to rotate. Our monthly meetings are on the second Thursday of the month. If you would all three like to rotate, or if you want to designate somebody to kind of be the liaison, we'd be more happy to work with however you feel is best with that. But we do have some members that are required. So for example, DHS is required to be a part of the council. That's just legislation coming from the state. So Laura is obviously the member. We also work closely with Stacy and other members of her department. And then we've had a fantastic working relationship with public health. Beth Green has kind of been our main point of contact. And Dr. Brown and I have developed a very good working relationship, and he's been a part of that, as well as Sharon, the new vaccination nurse that they hired to eventually take Beth's place. So we have a great working relationship with them, as well as the school administration. I've worked really hard to have a good relationship with Mr. McFalls and Mr. Virgilio, as well as the school board. Doreen Newcomb is the representative member for the school board that's on our council. So we've just really worked to try and continue to bring new members on. We have StarPoint, which provides early childhood screening services. They come out of Canyon. I'm trying to think who else we have off the top of my head, but I'd be happy to send you the actual list of our partner members when we're done today.
Thanks. That's a very good summary. So from a fund operational point of view, I heard two sources. Do you also get donations? Are you on the end of the year donation? What is it? The Spirit Campaign.
Spirit Campaign.
I think. Yeah.
Yes, sir, we are. So we're actually one of the recognized funds under the Wet Mountain Community Valley Foundation. Mm-hmm. So from that standpoint, we're actually able to use their 501c to apply for various other funding opportunities or grants. And so we did, and I just got a report. We received from donations $2,500, which for us is fantastic. We will take any donation amount. Again, one of my goals is to continue to grow that. And it's more just about educating our community members about the council and the work of the council and how important supporting our families with children from the ages of newborn to 8. That's the focus area of the Kids Council. How important, their support is financially, as well as in other ways is for our community. So again, we're funded. We get about $31,000 from the Office of Early Childhood, and that comes in 2 different types of grants. And I can explain that more to you, Bill, later, because it'll be in the invoices that you submit. It's called a systems building funding channel, and then what they call a Colorado Shines. It's improvement in quality, and we get $15,000 from that, and then we get $15,000 from the Buell Foundation. So our overall budget is right around $46,000, which is great, but it's very small. So it does kind of limit. It just makes us think creatively on the work we do and partnering with other agencies and organizations. So again, that's one of my long-term goals, is to try to find additional funding, but sustained funding that I could possibly bring on additional paid help and provide our families with what they need.
Great, thanks. I think Tom and Kevin may have some other questions. Tom, yeah.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Stacy. How are you?
I'm great, Tom. Thank you.
Good. This $100,000 grant, the 4 grants that you've received, where did that money come from?
So it came from an organization called, yeah, it was called Colorado Give. That's okay. There's a delay on my end. It was called Colorado Give, and it was a group of foundations. So actually, when COVID hit, the governor reached out to some various organizations and foundations up in Denver and asked them to look into putting together a opportunity for organizations around the state to be able to apply for relief funding. It was called the Colorado Give.
Okay.
And actually I learned about it from the director of the Denver Early Childhood Council on one of our, we have bi-monthly meetings with other coordinators from other councils across the state. So she told us about it. So I just researched it and looked into it. Basically, it was an opportunity to get relief to communities that were impacted by COVID in various different ways. And so that's how and why I applied for it. I think the key for us in being successful in getting these funds and being awarded was the collaboration. So at the time, obviously, I was working with the Office of Emergency Management and the previous director, and then public health and DHS, and just all our different organizations, as well as the school, to show this organization the need we had here in Custer County. And I think the collaboration between all the different agencies really helped. So that's how I applied for it. I was obviously ecstatic when we were first awarded the $25,000. They did allow you had to wait a month, but they did allow you to reapply for a second round of funding. And I think the Sharing Center applied back in April and they got a small amount, but there weren't a lot of organizations or agencies applying from Custer. And so I think that was one of the things they looked at, was trying to reach all of the communities and counties in the state. So that certainly helped us. And I just kept reapplying. I didn't know if we would get it each reapplication. And I was each time pleasantly surprised. And each time I added, it was a very open kind of grant application. They gave us quite a bit of leeway on how we could use those funds. So each additional time I applied, I would add as things came to light as we wandered through the waters of the pandemic last year, what the needs were. So for example, this last round of funding that I applied for at the beginning of December, and we were awarded, I think, the second week of January, I included the need for our community to look at expanding childcare because as a result, and something I'll share later with some of our long-term goals, that Custer County is considered a childcare desert. And what that means is that with the amount of children we have under the age of 5 and actually under the age of 2, we have between our 2 local childcare providers, Robin Gady and Willeen Squire, we have 4 total slots for them to take care of children under the age of 2. And I can promise you that we have a lot more than 4 children under the age of 2. So when they were affected by the pandemic and they had to close, it had a trickle-down effect directly to our school. Many of our school teachers take their children to Robin and Willeen, and they did not have backup childcare, so they couldn't go to work. The school was left trying to find subs. So it just had a real trickle-down effect. So I actually included that in this last round of funding of the $25,000 to utilize those funds how we see fit and how it would best serve our community on purposely expanding childcare slots and childcare opportunities here in our county. So it was kind of a collaboration, Tom, but like I said, I tried to allow us leeway to utilize these funds how we needed it in our community. And the other thing that I did was also kind of took on the role as the representative from Custer applying for these funds. Again, because the council traditionally focus on families between with children between newborn to 8. I told this organization that we would utilize these funds for all people in our community, from newborn to 99 or however old. Like there was no stipulation on age or if a family had a child or not. Anybody that needs help as a result of the pandemic, we tried to reach out and help. So for example, I worked very closely with John at the Veterans Office to see how we could help them, as well as the Sharing Center and various organizations. So I tried to really make it open to all of our needs in Custer County for all of our community members.
Well, the reason I asked was, I take it from your answer there that this was not a state or federal grant process that you went through. It was funded
No,
by
sir.
a private group, basically.
Yes, yes.
I'm very glad
So
to
it was
hear
funded.
that. Sorry.
Yeah, you could actually go to, that's okay. I keep stepping over you. You could go, I think it's also called Help Colorado Now. You can go to the website. I'd be happy to send you the link, and you can see all the various foundations and individual donors that donated to this relief. As see, through the generous support, $23.6 million in funding was allocated to communities across Colorado who had been disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. So I think the governor initiated it and then just turned it over to various foundations to just take it and run with it. I think United Mile High United Way kind of was also a big lead, and I know that they were the ones that distributed the funding, because that's when Virginia would share with me the deposits. That's where it was coming from. So it was more
Glad to hear
private.
that, because I see that you had given money to a couple of entities that we also, through the Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee, supported financially. And if the money that you had distributed came from a state or a federal grant program, then we'd have a little bit of an issue on our hands, because they would not have been eligible for the CVRF money.
Sure.
But it doesn't sound like
Sure.
that's the case. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good summary. Any other questions there, Tom?
No, I'm good.
I'm just clarifying a little bit, and when we meet, I was going to go over some of this as well, but just some of the areas you cover then, I'm assuming are childcare, health and wellness, looks like education, as well as nutrition thing. Is there others that I'm missing here right off the top of my head?
No, that is it. I mean, I would almost kind of say anything that touches families, any program or resources that touches families or could help families with children, again, between newborn to 8, we try to help coordinate. I think if you kind of dive into some of the verbiage on some of these sheets, it talks about, because there can be so many different agencies, individual agencies within a community and within a county and within a town, city, that it's hard to kind of coordinate all of the services they could possibly provide for a sector of the population, AKA the newborn to age 8. So the purpose of the councils, early childhood councils, was try to coordinate all of those services. So that's either the organization or agency providing those, or individual families could come to one place and learn about various opportunities and resources for them. And that's how I look at our role here in Custer County, is to try and be the hub for our families that have those aged children on whatever it is they need. And so to kind of, I think I answered your question, Kevin, but yes, nutrition and food is one. We have a partnership with Cooking Matters. I know Tom is familiar with that agency name, because we have to sign an agreement with them each year. And Bill, I'll bring you up to speed on that. It's just kind of an informal agreement, but it's a great program. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to they provide nutrition and training classes and education free of charge for families. And we had implemented that a couple of years ago, and then we started to back in March, and then we had to cancel everything because of the pandemic. So I cannot wait for the time that we can start doing some of these in-person programs, because our kids and our families really need it. A big focus of mine this coming year, because unfortunately I don't think we have seen the social emotional fallout or results from this pandemic, especially with our children, that I will be working very closely with the school, with our preschool, and then just other community members to bring early childhood mental health specialists into our community to offer support to our families and to our children. So that's kind of big on my plate this coming year, as well as expanding childcare and in general here in our community. Mr. McFalls and I know that he has put together a separate meeting for tomorrow to address the opportunity of opening up an early childhood center at the school. He has become a big proponent of that. Obviously, he saw how the school was affected by the lack of childcare. So I'm working with them on that. And then I've also been in communication with Heather Roberts, the director at our clinic, to try and bring some more early childhood health care programs here to Custer. Whether that looks at, long-term goal of mine, I would love to have a pediatrician at the clinic. I would love to have other healthcare programs and resources specific for our young kids. So I'll continue to work with public health on the dental program that they had established. Again, unfortunately, a lot of these things, in-person events we had planned last year, all got postponed or canceled. So early childhood healthcare programs is big on my plate this coming year. As well as, again, the social emotional support for families and young children.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, Tracy, that was very good. The only issue that I could see or concern would be, you mentioned several times that you're getting grants and COVID related plus ups, and one of them was how you beef up the child care. Both the two providers in town had only 4 slots, and you're going to figure out a way to enlarging that. The issue would be COVID's not going to be with us forever, but matter of fact, we hope it'll be gone quick, and so will the money. And so it just, when you stand up something, you got to make sure it's sustainable by other sources of money. And I'm sure the school has thought of that, I hope. But then there's these private providers that need to, you don't want to leave them hanging with a bunch of new kids and then not be able to maintain it with the cost.
Absolutely. So so that is, something big that I'm working with Mr. McFalls and some other people. I've put together a committee to look specifically at expanding the child care here in Custer County. So one of the big things is funding. I actually submitted a grant yesterday, or the intent to apply specifically around early childhood workforce innovation grant. So I'm working with Pueblo Community College, Mr. McFalls, and some other people. Tom, that was the email I sent to you yesterday. So yes, we're looking at funding. The other thing that has come to light, again, a silver lining, I guess, of the pandemic is that and these funds aren't going to last forever, to your point, but the governor did pass one of those bills at the end of the year. So there's $50 million that is going specifically to expanding and emergence in childcare in around the state. And again, it goes to, they're going to prioritize it on childcare deserts. So I'm putting into play relationships as well as working with our local childcare providers and working with our school so that we are showing and we can apply for up to $50,000 to expand childcare here in our community. So I'm working with that as well as other foundations across the state to get additional funding.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. I know you're thinking out loud and thinking very well as well. So thank you very much for sharing all that with you. I think we've covered everything you intended to talk to us about, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah, that sheet, like I said, that last one, again, that was separate. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know, how we were utilizing these funds to support our community in as far as the COVID relief. We have some more that are coming in. Really, the school has been a great. We've been able to help the school, which has been nice. So I just wanted to let you guys know how we were using those funds again, because it was a community-wide. It's been a community-wide effort and relief.
Yep, that's good. Does the $53,000 have an expiration date on it? Just last question.
No, sir, it doesn't. So I'm trying to be mindful of that, we don't have to spend it down by a certain date. But at the same time, it doesn't do any good just sitting in the bank. So I'm trying to be smart about how we spend it and not just spend it quickly to spend it, but spend it wisely.
Great. All right. That's all we got. And we got to continue on here. So thank you for taking the time and hanging on to the phone for as long as you did.
Not a problem. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. Okay. That was good summary. It's 10:45 now, and looks like we're on time here. Next up is Piper Sandler consideration of amending that contract. A little background on it. We've had the contract for quite some time. I think we've signed it back in July and in September, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And then on our last couple of meetings, after reviewing the contract, the committee that is involved on it, that happens to be working the work proposal, had some questions and some issues with it, so we'd like to hear those. And then, Ann, are you representing them? And we've got you've been talking with both sides here, the lawyers of our part too. Okay, so come on in. Yeah.
And
Sit up. You can push that back a little bit, but we're closer to the speaker, and that way you got a table there.
Good morning, all.
Hello, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Sure.
The floor is yours. Tell us what we got.
The committee, which is Stephen Bauer, George Veltman, and myself, Ann Barthrop, have a concern on the Sander Pipeler underwriting agreement that was signed in July and again in September of 2020. And the concern is this is for a bond funding for the Justice Center and does not comply with the outline of the RFP, which was done March 5th, 2020. And then COVID came along, everything kind of stopped, and we did not know who responded to the RFP. And then we learned October, November, that the RFP had been awarded to Piper Sandler. So we just want to back up a little bit, get it on track that actually.
Can you reset us on what was different? You said didn't comply with it.
Right. The RFP was to, let me see here. This is the letter, that was the request for proposal that went out. We should do a copy of that. I do not have a signed copy. So I'll go back to the background work that was done for this RFP request, and it was to look at how to finance the project through taxation, property, and/or sales, since grants would only cover a part of the cost. And also to, and I'm summarizing as I read through this, it was also to look at the community and do a survey to see where the community stood with this, and also to educate the community in the dire needs of this due to the fact that we have one of the bottom 5 courtrooms and jails in the state, and we don't want to have state control of what we build, how much we build, and our financial obligation to the state. So the opinion of Stephen, George, and myself is that the Piper-Sandler underwriting agreement only addresses financing for bonds. It does not cover the full scope of trying to do a 360 assessment. And that's where we're at.
Meaning options that the county has to consider to raise the money to fund the cost.
Correct.
That we finally
Correct.
nailed down what we.
I have to say this committee overall, that is composed of many people, county employees, citizens, you know, that type of thing, has been very cognizant and concerned about the impact on the community while still accomplishing what we need to do. And that has been evident in everything we've done. So that is the intent of this request, to back up. I don't think we need this contract for the bonds at this time. It may happen, but we're not ready for that. And we don't want to be obligated to that contract and that money.
So they took, you got to explain that to the public.
Okay, that for the public.
Right now, nobody really understands this. Even you guys have looked at it, you
Okay.
discussed it with our attorney.
The,
So what is the issue then?
the underwriting agreement with this company, Piper-Sandler, is for them to secure bonding for the Justice Center project. And they've already contracted with Schwab with no obligation to Custer County to do those securities. That's the whole entire gist of that agreement. They also are obligated to get a feel for what the citizens will do, but it's channeled into the bonds.
Just focused on bonds only, not
Exactly.
other taxing or other kinds of options that we may have
Correct.
to help offset that.
Correct.
And then I think, Clint, you mentioned in the last meeting, a source of funding that it doesn't put it all in either bonds or a tax increase. It was a sort of, what was it called that you brought up?
A certificate of participation, where it's set up a business authority and people buy into it. I mean, they essentially own the courthouse or the building for a period of time.
And then
that's until they're paid back for it.
Okay, so they're buying it in effect like a bond, but it's.
But they're participating. I mean, that money, if the county goes that route, it's not trying to finance something where you're committing future payments. It's annually.
Right.
And the idea is, and I understand apparently a lot of counties have gone that route to finance large acquisitions like this.
So if that were successful, then it depends on the mood and what the county citizens can handle. Could cut the cost in half.
Well,
whatever
as
we
far
decide
as
to do,
going
right?
to the taxpayers and asking, or the citizens and asking for an increase in property taxes or an increase in sales tax, which I think still would need to be done, but it would be a bifurcated thing. Where part of it would be financed in that fashion. The rest of it could be financed by these certificates of participation. And that's just what I was reading from the last committee meeting at the Justice Center. And I certainly am not an authority on any of this, but it seemed like an alternative
What's an option?
Yeah, it might be something
Right.
to look at to see if it's feasible in a small rural community like this, and whether we could get the kind of participation we would need for the rest of the funding.
So what do we need to do? And what is the committee recommending in order to make sure we're spending the money that we've got for this company to come up with options to make it inclusive of what we asked for? Have you guys had time to look at it long enough to come up with?
There's some suggestions and there's a couple of questions. And maybe Tom, you can help us out here. When the RFP was voted on by the BOCC March 6th, it was approved, I'm assuming, because I didn't never get a signed copy. And then it was posted, but we don't know who responded to that RFP. If Piper Sandler was the only one, or how did they come into the picture?
Let me see. I may have the wrong, this may be the only thing I have on it. Let's see. Computer. I don't know if these are proposals on which one we had. Riley Johnson, Anderson Hollis, DLR, RMK.
That was for the needs
That was for the
assessment
needs.
RFP?
I think that's what that was.
Mhm.
And then I thought we had a couple similar ones that applied. I don't have this particular one.
Right. This was March 6th that it was voted on. Our suggestion is that we void the underwriting agreement with Piper Sandler. If they're the ones that responded to the RFP and they're the ones in the project. I know at one time there in October 2018, there was a George Baum that was interested. I don't know if they had responded or not, but I know there's a meeting planned with Piper Sandler and we move forward to talk if they're capable of doing what our RFP wants.
So the committee is going to meet with, and I know Piper Sandler's coming down here.
Right.
You all are going to discuss this issue.
Right. The immediate need is to have the underwriting agreement that obligates the bonds voided.
Okay, is that an issue, Clint? What do you think of that? Is it possible?
Well, the whole agreement with Piper Sandler is conditioned upon how you ultimately decide to proceed with financing. I mean, if you are going to seek a bond issue from the voters, then this agreement obligates us to go through Piper Sandler. But I think we could also, without any difficulty, get out of this if we decided it was premature. You didn't want to be tied down.
There's a 15-day notice to.
I didn't see anything like that. But I think
It was a 10-day
10 day.
from date of signing.
Oh, just from one only time. I didn't see that. Well, so what are you asking us to do now? You're going to have a meeting, and based on your meeting with them and a discussion, you probably could come back with a revised contract that or an agreement is what they're calling this.
If they're capable of doing what our scope of work was. And were there any other people that responded to that RFP?
I think
Was that the only one?
I know that we had left it out there quite a while. You recall?
George K. Bond's company sold, they did not respond. So,
Okay,
Yeah, that's right. They were in the middle of.
I can't
So
answer
that's
that
it.
specifically. I would have to go back and look.
so we need to address the scope of work with
So
Piper
let's.
Sandler.
So Kelly, where is the keeper of the RFPs? Was Shannon at the time, or was it?
I have nothing for.
You don't have anything other than the contract,
Or
other
the
than their.
Justice Center, or so, yeah.
yeah, this says Kara was the point of contact for this project. So
Right.
You think there's any records in here that Kara had in a file somewhere? Tina, have you gone through all of her?
No, I haven't got all the way through.
see if she
Did you
Let me see if I
have a
got
copy?
anything in the file.
We've all got a copy of
That was the cover letter.
We have a copy of the agreement, but we don't have a copy of the RFP.
Well, that's what I was asking, because Tom was the one working on the RFP with us. And when we did the final, he did his final touches to it, and that's where I didn't get a copy of a signed one, but
Yeah,
I
I don't
think
have a
you,
copy of the signed one either. It
Yeah.
goes into the file.
The only one I saw was online and yeah, I saw you, the one I saw, I thought I sent it out to everybody.
I have all our drafts,
Let me look and see.
but that's it.
I thought I saw the one. that
And it was being
signed
published
enough, uh,
March
September.
12th and 13th. It was published.
The agreement, or are you talking about the RFP?
The RFP,
Okay.
sorry.
I don't have the RFP. I just,
Published just in the local papers, or did we go out to cover the spring?
no, we went out because local papers wouldn't have gone anywhere.
Right.
I saw the signed copy of the agreement. Well, we've got it. That's what we got a copy.
A copy of the agreement.
I have a copy of the agreement with 5%.
Right.
The two of them are
These-
identical as
that's
far
the
as I can
agreement.
tell.
Yeah, when you get towards the bottom, there's two different dates.
Right, I was looking for
But
the
that's
RFP.
for the,
There were some minor changes in there.
okay, I read through them both and I didn't see the minor changes, but.
Item 6 says you or me may terminate our engagement under this agreement with or without cause upon 10 days written notice to other parties.
Yeah.
I don't see any language about from the date of the execution of the agreement, but
Neither one actually says that.
Yeah, it's down in there.
Well, neither one says from the signing of the agreement. They both say with 10 days written notice.
That seems to me, that's pretty broad, so you could cut it anytime you want and it seems to me.
Yeah, that was the language I saw where I felt like there wouldn't be any difficulty getting out of it if we decided we didn't want to.
so your committee of 4, you have a meeting scheduled with Piper Sandler?
I have not gotten confirmation on that, but it's in the works.
Okay.
So I guess the comfort level for us then is that this agreement, this underwriting agreement with Piper Sandler is not set in concrete. That if it is needed to be changed,
It should be.
it can be. Okay,
And then time is of the essence because, as you know, why don't you tell everybody? Because I got, you had been working on the schedule
Mhm.
in order to get on the ballots, what has to happen. So what timing do we have? When do we think that?
I'm working with Kelly on that. I know our deadline is probably August 2nd to get it on the ballot. And then the education pieces would go out and the analysis and everything like
Right, so
that.
we need Piper Sandler doing their magic and coming up with options along with.
Right.
To figure out.
Not just tunneled for bonding,
Right.
the whole, exactly.
And to me, we cannot allow sole source to be even the bonding, because if it was a good idea, then that company stands to make several $1 million off our bonds.
Right,
So that would be a bad thing if we could get it. From a lawsuit point of view, it has to have been out there that we let that out for anybody to finance the bonds, and we would pick the best deal.
exactly. This RFP and the grant we got to have the money to do it was strictly informational to analysis of what's available, where the community is, and then go from there. So that's just the next step.
Right.
That doesn't guarantee them the work.
So when did you ask them to have this meeting? Was it this?
It's supposed to be this Friday, but I have not heard if that was confirmed or not.
And who's?
Shannon.
Shannon, he was gonna do that.
Yes.
Is this an in-person meeting where somebody would be?
Yeah, we asked them to come down, but that with Shannon, I should say, when I say we, it was his intent.
Right.
So I gather your concern here is with item number 1 that says the county hereby engages Piper Sandler to serve as an underwriter for the securities. That's the opening
Exactly.
commitment.
If it was to fund the whole project, it's like $1.6 million.
Yeah, we'll
Their
pay
fee.
that to somebody eventually anyway.
Yeah, or something less maybe if it's a better deal.
Right.
Or it could be them, they can still do it. It just has to be straightened out legally.
Exactly.
And then it is the wording adequate to cover them to go and look at all options, or is it
No.
just looking at bonds?
Not in that agreement.
Okay, so there's two issues.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
2A says to develop a financing plan for the securities and assist you in determining the economic impact. And when, in the use of the word securities here, you're thinking general obligated bonds only,
Right.
okay?
That agreement is just bonds.
And then later on, there is language that also says, or any other available credit enhancements. That is G2G, I believe. Evaluate and make recommendations concerning the use, oh, that's a bond insurance and any other available credit enhancements.
Yeah, it says issuance.
Yeah, the discussion that I had been involved with Piper Sandler all along was to explore any possible means to finance this, sales tax, property tax, general obligation bonds, COPs, whatever it was.
Right.
That was the discussion.
And then how to sell that best in the county to raise the money, which option would be the path. we
Well, and
give
also
recommendations
to engage the county in their decision-making and give them the tools and knowledge for what they base it on versus rumors and what the thinking on the street is.
And part of that is, maybe I'm reading into this thing. We can also do that with people here in the county as opposed to using all the money on Piper Sandler's.
Exactly.
So we can save some money and build, it should be a team. player,
Exactly.
what you're saying.
We have a lot of talent in this county.
Yeah.
And valuable talent.
And we've got quite a bit on this committee.
And we've done that since the beginning. So we have not had expenses.
She was asking about the signed copies.
Oh, thank you. And there's some creative ideas on how to do that still need to be explored. Because the concern is we have to meet what the state is telling us we have to do.
Yeah.
They've been very lenient with us because we're working on this. The minute we stop working on it, the state will come in.
And push.
So we need to, but we've
The
been
taxpayer
very
can end up
cognizant of where our county is at financially and the impact, especially with COVID. What impact will COVID and additional funds take?
Okay.
So that's what we're doing.
So from a commissioner's point of view, and you all need to put the heat on. We can meet again and ratify, change, modify, or redo a contract with them in our next meeting. We can entertain whatever proposal you have, which would be on the 17th of February. Unless you think a special meeting would be required, and we certainly could do something sooner if the committee, looking at the schedule and all that,
Right.
that should be done sooner.
I would say that we target for February 17th and find out when the meeting's going to be, and then we will have a better idea of how they can meet that deadline.
Okay. And you're going to get Clint involved in this meeting too.
Yes. Mhm.
Go
I
ahead.
know
Any questions?
I did miss the last meeting with Piper Sandler on the Justice Center, but the one I did attend, it was the 12th and the 13th, I guess.
Yes.
I would concur with Tom on that we did discuss multiple funding options at that time and the viability of the different options that we had. And we did drop a couple because of the viability on them, but it was not just bonds only that was discussed.
Right, and that's been the thread since day one. We weren't just going to look at bonds.
But they only had
This
that
contract
and when
Right.
indicates that.
right, and they did. That's right. But they did. They only had one rep here, and they had another guy online, and that meeting.
Right.
And he tended to whatever you guys want, but he didn't put a lot of effort into. I didn't get a good feeling that they understood what we were really asking. I don't know what.
I would agree with that, and my team would agree with that.
because
We just need to set it on
the guy
track.
was here in the court.
5%.
Yeah,
Nate.
Nate, yeah.
Mhm.
But he sort of is the, under more to the program than just Nate. I think he was the messenger, basically.
Exactly.
The authority.
Okay, I know your time's precious and I feel like I have a direction. Is that agreeable? And I'll get back with you and let you know.
We're gonna leave that until you get back to us.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification and support. I appreciate it. And get all my paper
Thanks for a
ready.
good teamwork and thanks for adapting.
Sure.
So you will be in contact with Nate.
Shannon is the contact, so I will call Shannon and find out, have him call them and get the timelines in order. And I'll email all of you or Shannon.
They
will.
need to, and tell Shannon, they need to understand Piper Sanders, that's the urgency of this. Maybe they do, but they got a lot of other things they're doing. And we're just a little county down. And we have a really tight time.
Yes, we do.
Well, the decision hasn't been made to go to the ballot yet, correct?
No.
That decision's not been made.
No, that's
so
right.
We're not,
If
until
you
we
want
make
to do
that
it,
decision,
right.
we're not under a.
That's part of the we're in a tight timeline if we decide the ballot.
Correct.
this
That's what I
year.
said.
That's-
If we
you're
decide
very-
to go to
that's
the
very
ballot.
But we are in an assessment stage of what can we accomplish and what can we do?
Yeah, I just don't want to have a misunderstanding that we've already decided, the three of us have already decided to put this on the ballot. That has not happened.
That's right.
That's correct.
So until that decision's made, we are not under a tight timeline. If we do decide to do that, certainly that is a true statement.
But the time,
Right.
rephrase it, the time to make a decision is tight because
Yes.
if we drag our feet, then we automatically go on into the next year, and which has implications.
Right.
From a taxpayer point of view, it may be harder to, or we
Well,
we need an
and
assessment.
And a cost of materials standpoint.
That's
It
true.
keeps
Cost
going
keeps
up.
Going up. That was the big thing in the meeting was the 5% or whatever they were saying, every
Right.
day or every month or every whatever it was.
Exactly.
Cost is going up. And it seems with probably gasoline going up and bright is going to be even worse.
Right.
All right.
All right. I'll get
Thanks.
back to you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we need to change directions. We need to get,
Yeah. We need
we
to-
need to, but certainly we need to involve those Piper Sandler and Brits because that's who we're under contract with. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Next up is a letter on the DOLA grant. Is Adrian, you there?
Yes.
Now you can finish the story.
I thought that was my coffee.
Oh, you don't drink it.
I don't drink. Hello again.
Hello again.
I do drink hot chocolate. So I come before you this morning with a plan to replace the current OEM vehicle using a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development Agency in Denver. Not me. And on do not disturb, but that time frame has passed. So we brought it back on again. And so I'm just going to give you a quick timeline on things. I came on with OEM in August of 2020. The vehicle prior to my coming on had been in the shop for a oil pan issue. In fact, the oil pans on the OEM vehicle have been replaced 3 times since July of 2020. And then on the 18th of December, there was a catastrophic failure of the power system on the pickup. On December 20th, the OEM vehicle was hauled to the Ford dealer in Canyon City. On the 21st, they diagnosed it as a major problem. They were not able to get the truck scheduled in until January 6th. On January 6th of 2021, the engine was pulled, examined, and a new engine was ordered. On January 12th, I was made aware of a USDA Rural Development Grant for facility and equipment replacement. On January 16th, I received grant information forms from the grant manager in Denver on January 19th. I submitted those initial application for replacement of vehicle to Joe Montgomery in Denver. On January 21st, he sent me documents, which I completed those documents and began a 10-day public notification period. And that happens when I put it on the docket. That period began.
Public notification to who?
Just to put it on the agenda. That's the requirement, is that it be, I put it on the BOCC agenda. The requirement for the grant was to put it on a public agenda. And so our system, putting on the door and posting on BOCC agenda.
So it's on the website.
No, it's only needs to be posted. Your procedure is to post it on the doors. So because it's on the agenda, that is the public noticing. And he said that met the requirement.
Okay.
And so simply so the public would know that we were considering a grant to purchase a vehicle. That is the purpose of that.
Okay.
So on the 21st, I obtained bid proposals, obtained a fair market value for the vehicle, contacted the Homeland Security Grant Coordinator about any concerns from the state's perspective, because the vehicle was purchased with a Homeland Security grant. The state asked for us to get the fair market value, which I
Where did you get that from?
from Pharisee Ford, the dealer that was working on it. They estimated the fair market value of the vehicle at $14,000 without the engine replaced. But since we were in the process replacing the engine, the fair market value was estimated to be $24,000. And then today we're meeting to inform you of the grant process, my recommendation to replace the vehicle and to get your approval, because it does require your signature on the dockets. The reason is because, go ahead.
Cost of the engine repair was one.
The cost of the engine repair, it was no money to the county. It was repaired under warranty. It was about $10,000 plus dollars.
So we had to pay a little bit.
Yeah.
We got glad the warranty was there. So 10 grand, and in effect, they just added that to the 14K.
Yes, and the vehicle has, and they are re-examining that. They told me yesterday had a 1-year powertrain warranty on it, because there's no time left. As of March, the vehicle would have fallen out of warranty. March of this year, there would be no warranty on it.
Good thing you got it into it.
A good thing we got it in. So the powertrain warranty may be a year, possibly 2 years, but their recommendation is that if you have an opportunity to replace the vehicle, to replace the vehicle. They said the engine's unreliable, and the new engine is going to have the same problems as the previous engines, because that EcoBoost engine has oil pan issues.
It's a generic issue with that model. So a lot of them have happened over time.
Yes, that's my understanding. An engine is not made anymore.
When you say they, you're talking about Pharisee Ford still?
Pharisee Ford, yes, sir.
Meaning in other engines means more than just Pharisees.
They couldn't even.
Nationwide.
It's a nationwide.
Ford has an issue with this engine.
Yes, they do. And they had to go all the way to New Jersey to find a rebuilt replacement engine.
That sounds like gas.
Yeah. And so my recommendation is to take their advice and my advice and to replace the engine. So we went out and got bids, several bids proposal. My initial is to replace it with a special service vehicle. The bids on that replacement, and that's just for the vehicle itself with the necessary equipment for it to be a reliable and a usable vehicle for the Office of Emergency Management. It was recommended that I take a look at the special service vehicles that Ford has available. And that recommendation came also from the Sheriff's Office. And so we looked at the special service vehicles that come pre-manufactured with the safety things that are required and with some equipment that is required. The bids on that vehicle range, the low was $43,921, and as then the next was $46,762, And then 48,169, that does not include any radio equipment, putting the radio equipment back in the vehicle, taking out the old, putting it in the new. It does not include that. And so we submitted an initial proposal under the grant of $70,000. And I'll just read the letter that I sent. It says, sir, our desire is to purchase a 2021 F-150 special service vehicle or equivalent. We spec'd it as having a 3.5 liter power boost hybrid V6 engine, the COP Smart interior, 7 kilowatt generator, 4 plugs, 12-inch integrated computer screen, 4-wheel drive, road-ready package, 5.5-foot cargo box, class 4 trailer hitch with a 10,700-pound towing capacity. The color, just white because it's just easy. For now, the vehicle will be used as an emergency support vehicle to respond to all hazards incidents such as wildfires, floods, wind events, mass casualty, etc., for the Custer County Office of Emergency Management and the support of incidents elsewhere in Colorado. So that is the purpose of the vehicle. We do need a reliable vehicle, and we can't be worried about the vehicle breaking down. That was submitted to Mr. Montgomery. He thought it was a very good proposal. He's in Denver. He is the federal USDA federal grant coordinator out of the Denver office. So I submitted that proposal to him. He looked it over. He felt it was a very reasonable proposal. And so he sent us the applications to begin the process of receiving a $50,000 grant. So we would have $50,000 if approved from the USDA, and then we would have $24,000 of asset in the current vehicle. That would give us $74,000 for the project. And that is in line with what the vehicle cost initially to get it outfitted for OEM when it was purchased under a grant that started in 2015, 2016 period. So we're well within where we need to be.
Time out there again. So 50K in theory would cover the cost, and the 24K is cash to us. So we have a choice, I guess, would be to cash it out, sell it, or use this vehicle in another capacity for the sheriff or some other thing in the county. And have you guys thought about that yet, or have you got that statement?
Well, I mean, that's one of the things, but all of that, we need the 24,000
in order to outfit it,
to outfit the vehicle.
Okay.
And so, I mean, so if that was what we chose to do, then we would still need to have the funds to be able to outfit the vehicle, to put the radios
Right.
back
So
in
it
it,
would be
to
a
have
choice,
it
maybe.
to meet the requirements that the state
Makes
requires.
sense.
What's your estimate of outfitting it? Is it to 24,000 or is it somewhere in between?
I would say that it's over the 50, but somewhere in that 24,000 range. So to get it exactly where it needs to be, I would say that it would take probably.
That's not new radios or anything.
It's not new radios. You can use the old radios, but the system's constantly changing. You still have to have, you put it in a shop, have to pull the old radios out, redo it. And so, I mean, we had $13,000 back in 2016 just putting radio equipment in that vehicle. That was
all new equipment.
all new equipment.
Radio.
Well, some of them were new, some of them were not, but it did cost about $13,000 on the contract to do that. So to answer your question, so it's somewhere between the 13 and the 24.
Well, and if you're using the old radios, it would actually probably be less than the 13,000. If you're reusing the same radios.
Plus cost of increase, and since that was not, that wouldn't be too much.
Well, I would, yes, we ought to look at the road and bridge department, see if their mechanics can swap the radios out.
I know on their last two, the one they just purchased and the one they got at the end of the year, the one at the end of the year went to Pueblo for a radio install. I guess you could say computer issues if you tap into the wrong wiring or something of that nature.
Warranties and things like that.
So
There's,
they have done radio installs in the past, but with the newer the vehicles now, the harder that's becoming.
And it's like anything, you know.
it's pretty sophisticated putting radios in vehicles now. You look at that vehicle, it has like 9 antennas on it.
Well, it's got 10 computers inside them now. Everything's computerized.
Yep.
Every system.
And so
So what are you looking for today then?
So I'm looking for your signatures on the grant application. It requires this signature of the chairman on the board on one of the applications. It requires our attorney to look at it, and Clint has already done that and has signed the application, which we had sent, but we want an official signature on this same application so that we have original signatures. So what I'm asking is your permission to move forward with the grant application. And then if the grant is approved, then I will come back to you with a proposal to purchase the new vehicle as we spec'd it out.
With the costs and all that.
With costs and with proper bidding. If the grant is not approved, then we're where we are.
Any thoughts, guys, before we make a motion? Is there any other questions, Kevin?
Not at this stage. If it moves to the next stage, I would have a question as to radios, equipment of that nature, if it is still up to date, or if that would be part of your cost analysis that I would like to see.
Okay.
So we're aware of everything up front.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to keep all our options on the table. If we need a pickup that this 2015 would satisfy the need of, then I think we ought to consider that. If we don't need it, we think the risk analysis, risk management is too high to keep it, then I guess we would consider unloading.
At that point, whether we do or not.
If we get rid of this pickup and in 6 months, somebody comes in and says, we need a vehicle, and now we're looking at $40,000-$50,000 for another vehicle, when we gave them one away for 24.
Yeah. And that's so that's a good point. And I think with that option's available to us, this is not going to impact. If we proceed.
Right. I just say, I think we need to.
And we still have to get those options open. That's my point when I asked the question.
Yeah, and we need to keep those options open, but understand that they'll want the vehicle up to a certain standard. So if we take that 24,000 and use it for another purpose, then they're still going to have
to come. We got to decide, and that's the trade Tom's looking at it. We have to decide whether we spend 24K on something or whether we, keep the truck. And, those are the options that we still need the data on.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to say is that it's the 50,000 plus a contribution from the county.
Right, whether that's a pickup or cash or whatever.
Yes.
That's right.
Vernon just reminded us that FEMA had spent some money on some equipment in that vehicle as well.
Yes.
And yeah, you got to get an okay on that.
Yes, got to be okayed, and it's got to be replaced with the like kind of equipment. There's certain things that FEMA says that vehicle must have in it.
Right. And that'll drive price.
That will drive the price.
Okay, well, I personally think that we don't lose by continuing to get the application completed and sent in.
I agree.
Any other comments? On that one?
So I have documents.
Let's hear a motion then. I move that we go ahead and proceed with the application process of the $50,000 grant from USDA for the truck. It's been moved and seconded. Any other points or discussion?
Other question I had was, and I thought you addressed it earlier, this $50,000 ready grant, is that a matching grant?
It is not a matching grant. My understanding is that it's a grant up to $50,000, and then to finish your vehicle, then it has to come out of other sources of funds. So it's up to not to exceed, it will not exceed 50,000. So 50,000 is the max.
He seemed to think it was
appropriate. Yes.
And you're convinced buying a new vehicle is the way to go versus a
I am.
couple-year-old vehicle?
I am. I think it's the best decision, given that we have the opportunity to have a grant.
Well, yeah. Any used vehicle, of course, I have good luck with used vehicles because in the business of buying used.
It really got my attention when they said yesterday when picking up the vehicle, and I said, well, it's going to be clear selling. They said, no, it may not be clear selling. They said, you're likely to have the same issues.
It's a plastic
With this
oil
engine.
pan.
It's a
isn't it?
plastic
It's got
oil pan.
aluminum in the bottom. And
Yeah, it's just a
crazy.
poor design.
It's all driven by keeping them light.
And you put that on a fire of any kind and you're running through trying to get from point A to point B. There is a high probability. It's
Probably ought to be.
there's a lot of things they can do, but it's just a bad design. It's a bad design
So you're looking at a 2021 F-150.
or equivalent. And the reason I put in the order, I want to be able to look at the Chevys. I want to be able to look and see what's out there in the market. But the recommended vehicle would be the Ford.
And you're going gas driven as opposed to diesel.
It's a hybrid. It's a special
Tell me it's got a big back.
V6 hybrid. That's where we're going. And the neat thing about it
You're gonna have to
is
put a big
the,
plug at the road and bridge then.
for what we use emergency vehicles for, the engine itself becomes a generator. So the engine is a generator, which allows us to light up our light stations and light up our equipment and light up our trailers. So it's actually a pretty neat system. And I think
How reliable
They-
are they? We probably
Say, what's it?
Well-
Is it tried and true?
Yeah, I don't think, of course.
I saw a brand
I don't
new,
want to be the guinea pig.
no, but I saw a brand new, they're using them in most of the major cities. This is the Ford spec vehicle for emergency
I get
services.
you. It's built rugged.
So it's built for that purpose. And there are a lot of them being manufactured and sold right now.
All right, well, let's move on. If there's no other comment. Any public comment?
I have applications and signatures for you.
Anybody online there? Tina, I don't have it up.
All I have is Greg and somebody named CH.
It's just some paperwork for you so you can see the actual
CH, I
grant paperwork. And there's one for you after the contract is signed.
Okay, I don't hear any comments. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Kevin?
Aye.
And aye.
Thank you.
All right, good presentation. It was,
And I can pick those apps up, but we don't want to sign them in the wrong spots. And I'll come back.
this sign.
Yeah, there's places for me to sign, places for Clint to sign, and I put where you needed to sign on yours.
How come you put the applicant for 12,000 and other for 12,000?
They fill that out. That's how they,
Okay. This is from
yeah,
them.
yeah, it's from that. They fill that one out. So that's the 24. That's how they showed it.
Sure.
Thank you for your support.
Good job, thanks.
You may keep those. Those are for you to be able to look over how that grant works. And there's other grant opportunities. And what's neat about this grant is the sheriff's office can apply for a grant, and that doesn't prejudice the county from applying for a grant. So they look at each of the entities as separate entities. And so if you desired another vehicle, that's wrong. Okay. Yes. So, and then I'll get Clint's signature again on master.
Did, if I may, Adrian, did Pharisee include any kind of warranty on this engine install?
They said 1 year, possibly 2. And so they need to do some more checking on that, Tom, to answer your question.
Thank you.
If it's a Jasper engine, it's
So the remands, offer or include 3-year warranty according to the website, but
Do they really? We just bought one for our son, why, but the speed on it, I don't know why, that's the way it was.
Yeah, see, I thought it was 2, and when they said 1, it was like, ooh. You know, that's not a long time.
That's all you needed.
you said it was a remanufactured engine, right?
That's what they told me. It was a remanufactured engine.
Their used engines have a 1 year,
That's what kind of.
according to their website anyway, but the reman, they say is,
Maybe that's good.
It may be used.
no idea if that's where they got it. I just,
All right, we got one last order of business. We done?
One more. And I can bring them back in, Bill.
I'm seeing 2.
Kelly, I'll just come by later and see you and get your signature as the clerk
I'm sorry.
Okay,
on it. I'll make sure.
I'm gonna be gone from about 1 to 2:30. I'll be there after.
All right, so yeah, we've got sitting letter requesting this little.
And then I need a copy. Sign one.
Yeah, I'll send you one electronically too.
yeah, 3-year, 100,000 mile on a remanufactured engine.
Pretty good. That's a pretty good warranty.
That's what Bill just signed.
Pardon?
I was telling Adrian, the copy I put there was the one Bill just signed.
Got everything? Okay, next item is the letter for the DOLA extension for the 860-35 grant extension for the current, this is for the EDA grant from there, right? Current extension or the DOLA grant.
Correct.
So go ahead and we'll discuss.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I sat in on the economic development / DOLA broadband Zoom meeting the other day. Both Christy Doon and white-haired guy, yeah, Greg Winkler. We're on that call and basically said, hey, we're not going to tell you what to do, but we've supported you guys on this broadband project all along, and we highly recommend that you consider requesting an extension. Ours runs out in March. We've requested 2 other extensions on this $1 million grant. They've granted those extensions both times. The latest one was due to COVID. And due to, well, the first one was due to the fact that the Economic Development Administration at the federal level included 4 more requirements for them to consider our grant that was never in the original list of deliverables to get to that grant process. So they looked at our original stuff and said, oh, and by the way, you need to address these 4 things before we'll consider your grant. So then we went to DOLA, said, hey, can we get another grant to offset the cost of these 4 things? Environmental, engineering, economic job creation, and then there was a 4th one.
EPA.
So we applied for another grant. They gave us that grant, 87,000 economic development, threw in 10,000 to make a total of 97,000 if we needed it. And then all of that was tied to the original $1 million grant that DOLA awarded us, but held on to that with the caveat that we needed to get another $1 million grant from the federal government. So that's where we're at. And this $1 million grant's been extended twice, and now they're saying you probably should consider requesting another grant.
You mean another grant or an extension?
An extension, a grant extension. So after some discussion, basically wrapped around what if DOLA doesn't give us another extension? Then that $1 million grant award goes away because we know we're not going to meet that March deadline. There's no question about that. And Greg and Christie both agreed that that is not the worst thing in the world that can happen to us. They said, if that grant, that $1 million grant goes away, then turn around and basically refresh that grant application and resubmit it. Neither one of them said we'd be guaranteed to get it. Winkler said there's adequate money in the broadband initiative grant.
So they're willing to allow it to expire and have the confidence that we might be able to, with some confidence level,
Yeah.
not much maybe.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Sure, because there's a lot of competition now.
Right, I'm not going to misrepresent, and they didn't indicate any level of confidence. They just said, we don't believe you would be at a big risk if this deadline came and went. They said, just apply for it again.
And this, no, excuse me, I'm
So
sorry.
obviously, there's a possibility we wouldn't get it the second time. We all know
There's
that.
always one.
But, and they, of course, couldn't go out on the limb and say, oh, we're very confident that you'll get that grant. That's not how DOLA operates, but he did say there were funds available.
Let me ask you a quick question before. It's my understanding when we first got that grant, that $1 million that DOLA has is matched by the EDA side of the house for the other $1 million for the total program. Because of these extensions, then they, in order for the EDA to be happy, they wanted DOLA to continue. We had to produce this business plan that they wanted.
Yeah, they didn't want DOLA to do that.
That's right.
They wanted us.
Yeah, us to do it, what I should say.
Yeah.
And I understood at that time, that pot of money was an Obama era broadband program that, and this is why I think we have a high, this is just me speculating, have a high confidence that they'll continue the extension because that money normally would expire and it would go to other programs within the state. That's not the case with this one. It expires and it's gone forever from a broadband point of view.
Yeah, we didn't really get into the weeds about that, but.
So all I'm trying to do is, it's probably some more confidence that Christie and they have probably that it would be extension probably will be granted, but then they said if it is not, and it could always not.
Sure. Yeah, they didn't want to lead us down some rosy path, and that's just not the way they operate. They said, there's no way we
Go
can.
ahead, Ken.
I think your question kind of answered mine. I was just going to clarify that the DOLA grant is contingent upon the other.
Yeah, we don't get the $1 million
through.
from the EDA, the $1 million from DOLA goes away. And if we were to reapply for the $1 million from DOLA and didn't get that, then the EDA grant they're almost tied at the hip.
And I guess, Tom, you were in the meeting. I missed the last two, but we also have internally, in order to get the extension, the reason we still have to go through some process yet, correct? We've got clear sailing that from a county point of view, it'll be accepted yet. We still got to go through some hearings.
We have to decide whether or not we want to apply for an extension.
Right.
That's what's right in front of us.
And then the next
Of
step.
course, the EDA in the last 60 days or 75 days have thrown a couple more wrenches in the works. One of their original requirements, one of the additional requirements that EDA put on us was, hey, you've got to document that this is a job, an economic job driver. So we did a study. We hired a company to do a study to say, okay, this is where we're at. If this tower project goes through, we expect people to come here, live here, work remotely because now they have internet access and blah, blah, blah. So it's broadband internet. So that company performed that study and that was subsequently submitted to EDA. Now, EDA says, oh, by the way, one of your 3 potential electric providers Has to be a co-applicant.
Really? I hadn't heard that one.
No, it just came up. So they're working on that. They're trying to hammer out what that really means right now. This meeting was the first time I'd heard about the whole co-applicant thing.
And then there was another, and maybe it's been sorted, Tom, but originally when they presented it to us, they were selling us on the fact that the towers could have other customers on the towers and could get more rental space, but then that's narrowed down to basically one provider.
Well, the towers currently are engineered and the whole price structure's been set based on the ability for each tower to host wireless internet service providers only. Absolutely no cellular communication equipment on these towers.
And can it have two ISPs?
Yeah, two WISP, yeah. So these are monopole between 100 and I think the tallest one is 125, maybe 140 depending, but we've got some other issues. I don't really need to get into all of those right now. What I would suggest we do is schedule a workshop and sit down with economic development, DOLA, and really basically have a fleshing out meeting so that you don't have to rely on secondhand information that I'm giving you based on what I witnessed at a meeting. My opinion, and I'm prepared to move forward with a motion today, is absolutely we need to request an extension. I very clearly indicated to Christy and Greg both, I'm starting to get a little nervous about us going to the well over and over and over with DOLA. And they said, don't worry about that. Said the people, including Rick Garcia, who's the director of DOLA, who will decide whether or not we get the extension. There's not a group, it's Rick Garcia. He makes the final determination on the extension. He said everybody that will look at and have input and make a decision on this, including Garcia, knows exactly where we're at. It's not that we've dicked around down here in Custer County and forgot about it and then all of a sudden realized this deadline's on us. They know the Economic Development Corporation spent countless hours trying to deal with the EDA. And they also have talked, Christy and Greg both have talked to our man Trent Thompson at EDA. He's our conduit into that Economic Development Administration.
He's probably not, this is probably isn't the first time they've dealt together.
No, I wouldn't think so. So none of this is going to be news to them. I was going to check my notes in that meeting real quick, make sure I'm not missing something, but a deadline, to be technically correct, is March 31st for the DOLA $1 million grant. We had entered into an agreement with the state land board to put one of these towers on state land board land. Now, as of this morning, we run into a snag with that because a homeowner association is not going to allow us access for
right away through there
and any easement for utilities and access. So I'm expecting us to do something different there, but that's, that's what economic development will pound out all those details. So yeah, I had written the last extension letter to them and they said, yeah, just articulate why, make it very clear why you're requesting another extension. So I would move, that's what we do is work with Economic Development Corporation and draft a letter to come back to this group for final consideration. Or if you're comfortable, write the letter and then request the extension and we can vote on that today. I guess it's up to you guys.
We have a template to use for that.
Yeah, and they even had the last extension letter there and they said, this is fine. Just make sure you include these things. And Economic Development said they would get the language to us if that's what we wanted to do.
Okay.
So I would move we submit a letter to request an extension on the DOLA grant, 3685, I believe. what it is.
8635.
8635. Had it just backwards, yeah. And that is a mineral impact grant, by the way.
That's second.
I would second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to ask for an extension on this. And I won't repeat the number. It's 86, whatever.
8635, yeah.
Right. Okay, here's
We've
my
got 2 other grants with them, different numbers.
Okay, so from a discussion point of view, and you guys have pretty much brought up both, all the issues. I don't see an issue with extending the grant, even if we lost it, because I'm of the opinion right now, technology's changed. The need for these towers is not as critical as it was, and I'm still a little concerned. And Tom, you've heard me say this before about the county's obligation to maintain the rights of ways, the power, the emergency power, and the towers to operate. And it costs money to do that. And the business case was we could get rent from the WISPs that'll cover those costs. So you take 6 times whatever that is. We haven't gotten that business case, nor have they brought that forward on who's willing to pay what to have that happen and how much the county would have to offset that difference. That would come with the grant extension because that business case still has to be made. They still got to get a contract with the ISPs before DOLA and the grant will proceed. They have to get a firm commitment. So I don't have a problem extending it, and I don't have a problem if they don't build a business case to say cut them either and cancel this until we'll see. I mean, we've got satellites in mass now and a fiber program that we're working. Although the fiber program is augmented, is also a nice thing to have to augment this tower project. So it's complementary, and we're going to learn more about that with another meeting that you all have seen Mark Carmel trying to schedule up here in a while. So with that comment, is there any other public comments before we take a vote? Anybody from outside, anybody lighting up out there?
Nope. And I'm assuming, gentlemen, before we do vote on it, you're all right with going to Economic Development Corp, asking them for the language to include on the stuff that
I would be.
wanted, and they'll submit that.
And they are very intimate with that. Okay, no other comments. We'll vote on extending an extension of invitation to DOLA for this grant. All in favor, say aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Kanda, aye.
Okay, I'll reach out to Charles today or Dale and request language.
Okay. Last item of business. This is the one we talked about yesterday to have as a recurring one until we get out of this COVID issue. I did talk with several people, and finally with Dr. Brown. The current plan at the state level is to modify small counties, how you measure whether they are making improvements or going behind on the COVID bug. And so whether we're green, red, blue, whatever it might be, the same metrics have a major impact on small counties and will keep us from getting any better out of yellow. It's going to make it almost hard, probably impossible to get out of yellow, or more difficult to stay out of yellow. So that meeting is supposed to take place on this Friday at the state level, and they're going to discuss what that new criteria might be. And so at that point, Dr. Brown reconfirmed that from a state point of view today, using the metrics they have today, we are green. The problem is going to be to get them to agree that, first of all, that to maintain that criteria, you got to maintain it for X amount of time, et cetera. And so they want to wait in order to certify from a state level until they go through this new process. So that could be this week, it could be later than that. So I would recommend right now that we ask Dr. Brown to stay on top of that, which he is. And if there's an opportunity to submit a letter like he did before then that we agree that he ought to work with the state without calling a special meeting and then bring that to us for what we do before we endorsed the move. So we could address that at that time.
Could you restate
So
that?
from
Off track.
So from today, right now, there's no need to worry about endorsing a letter because we're not going to submit a request yet, according to Dr. Brown, until this meeting is sorted out on Friday.
Right.
So we don't need to, where I was headed with it today would be to have a motion to allow that to happen, let him go ahead and submit the request and bring it back to us for the endorsement like he did before. So I think we can wait.
Yeah, I do too. I think that'd be because of this Friday.
Yeah.
And meeting the governor's having, we'll just wait and see.
We'll wait and see. And then if it looks, to me, it's important enough that we can call a special meeting if we wanted to change the color because of we've been doing really well. You've seen this, the latest stats. We're at 1.7%. I mean, we've been coasting along. No positives. One hospitalization that's out of the hospital now.
And this meeting Friday, that's
State
color will 2.2, I think they called it, or something like that.
Yeah, red dumpties one.
So
okay, so let's keep that on the agenda.
Under new business?
Yeah.
So where are we holding the Board of Health meeting on the 17th?
Right now, it's in Wetmore.
You're gonna,
And we're gonna have it on the telephone line to call into, and there'll be other people, it's gonna be open. And I think it was 22 people, if I recollect right, that can attend.
was that,
so I would friendly suggest that we better be prepared to take lunch with us.
Yes. Especially if we
Previously,
keep pushing
we had
things in.
gone to Florence and had lunch, depends on how much stuff ends up on the agenda. Because if we're gonna have it there,
Depends on how much we get pushed into that meeting, which we tend to, every meeting, we push something into the next meeting.
was that contingent upon finding out if the courts were available, or was that scheduled for Wetmore?
That's gonna be Wetmore.
Okay. I misunderstood that earlier then.
We're gonna keep the court option. Tina's gonna be on top daily with what the courts are scheduling, so we know what we have as an option as our second choice.
yeah. I know this isn't the platform, but I would just say to you two gentlemen, I would prefer to have those Board of Health meetings right here in this room. So I'm fine with going down there this time. I think it'll prove itself out, but.
And it may be that, nobody comes, doesn't matter, but we'll be good.
Well, and I don't think they should all be down there either. And where they're falling on that mid-month Wednesday, they do end up in Wetmore all the time. But I feel
Yeah, I think when
that we should have, it wouldn't hurt to have some down there, but I would like to have some up here as well. Just
and that's what
to be more inclusive of everyone.
its intent was, and that's why 1:30 was the start time, and it should be the start time anyway. It gives us time between meetings and a chance to drive from Wetmore back up here. Okay. Any other items?
I do.
Go ahead. Well, I do.
I'll make a disclaimer. Bill knows this. This is the last guy you will see on Facebook. I hate that with a vengeance, okay? I don't make decisions based on what people tell me they see on Facebook. It really doesn't impact my thinking much, but I think I meant to check and I didn't have a chance to listen to the recording when we voted to loosen the mask restrictions. We talked about this. I believe we said for the county building, I questioned, did we mean for the county employees, county buildings, more than just this county courthouse building? I don't know. But it was brought up to my attention that Facebook was lit up, that we changed the mask requirements and guidelines for this county. I don't believe we did that. Was never my intent. I thought, and I think the recording will bear this out, that it was for this county building.
That is
Well, and that's exactly right. The Board of Health didn't meet to decide that.
So I don't know.
So,
I mean, we were fried on Facebook about how in the world could we change the mask requirements for this county, and where I sit, we didn't do that.
I went back.
Board of Health thing never went to.
we didn't.
Tom, because I had a question if it included the other buildings, and I brought that up yesterday.
Yeah, and that's what we.
And I had went back and listened to the meeting, and it was, the motion was for this building, and that's why we put it on the agenda for the 17th as far as the other county buildings.
Right. Clarify.
But it was not said in any way, shape, or form that I'm aware of to make it county.
Right.
Still the same.
County-wide.
Thing. Masks are, from a state point of view, you recommend them, and that's what it is, period. Right now. We didn't change it. But
yeah,
we're
so
going to green.
the most recent communication I received, I'll just read you a sentence out of it. It's an email from a person that lives in the county. I read on the Custer County Public Health Agency Facebook page that you, the county commissioners, have decided that Governor Polis did not mandate that masks are worn. That is absolutely a false statement. Not that it was probably Brown put it on his Facebook page, but that we decided that Governor Polis did not mandate. We never talked about Governor Polis in that decision. We talked about what we were going to do for this building, correct?
I'm talking about the building.
I wonder if they took it from the resolution
No.
reading.
No.
Rather, you believe that masks are recommended rather than required. I ask that you rescind your decision and follow the mandates of the governor of Colorado, refusing to require our residents to follow the mandate to wear masks is dangerous and irresponsible.
I don't like the word mandate. It's still a recommendation when you read through it, but that's what it currently is. It's still in place that the governor had asked that they wear masks. We didn't say ignore the governor's recommendation.
I don't believe the governor ever came into that conversation. It's what we believe we needed to do here.
I know that.
So that we weren't under some double standard of not doing it and expecting other
I
people
agree.
to.
I know that when we had the discussion, Clint brought up the fact that it's the enforceable actions that we talked over that many times. And that might have gotten confused in the whole.
Yeah, and I have not gone, I can't get on the public health Facebook page. I have no idea what it says, so probably ask Vernon to, it's a screenshot of what Dr. Brown put on there. I have no idea. I'm assuming if it's on the Public Health Agency's Facebook page, Dr. Brown put it on there, so.
The only thing I'm aware of, I do know that he was pointing out that it was optional in the courthouse. Because I hope that's what it said. That based on whatever.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't. Is there any other items? The only thing I had, Kelly, you gave us all. Did you get us each of these from Chris Bryson?
Yeah, that was on my desk. He left that on my desk yesterday when we were in here on the agenda, but it's not really for that.
No, it's a different issue.
It's
Not
a totally
so.
different issue. So
From my
I didn't
point of view,
know-
I'm going to just say I don't mind people asking, and he'll have to couch this into what he is asking for, and we can consider that. I'll just send it around when we set up the agenda either for next week or the week after that to decide whether this is something we want to take a look at too, just like the other one.
So don't put him on yet
No,
until I hear.
Not until
Okay.
we get a chance, and we'll see what he's expecting out of it. And then if it's concise and what might make sense, then we can have a discussion and vote on it later. Okay,
Yeah,
people are there's lots of people asking for different things. We'll see.
I just I'm willing to consider anything on the agenda. I just think we need to be very cognizant of what our job is. Our job, I don't believe, is to follow up on somebody's personal political.
That's true. That's why we have to consider. Okay, anything else?
So we're not taking any,
Anything on that?
this, you said he put this on your desk today?
Yesterday.
He just wanted to see if he has another request like he did before. So I just said, well, I'll just ask him.
He wanted to put on the agenda and I just wanted to show it to you guys
Yeah.
to see what you want to do with it.
Yeah, see, back to exactly what I brought up yesterday. You would have been well within your realm to put it on there if you wanted to.
Yeah, but like I said,
Even if she does,
There are times
even
when
if she
you-
does, we look at it and we decide whether we're gonna leave it on.
Yeah, so
No, not everything's ready for prime time. All right. Anything else? Clint, are you ready to adjourn?
Recess.
Are we recessing? Did we sign
I
that?
thought, well, you're gonna recess and then we're gonna adjourn.
We discussed it.
Another, call it
I think we,
back to order after the,
I
well, I
don't
guess
know.
you aren't gonna make any decision after the interview.
No, so there's no reason to.
I guess you just adjourn.
and I'll just put it on that 17th.
yeah, because the workshop can stand by itself.
Yeah.
Workshop's fine. And if we, for some reason, if we have to act sooner than that, we have a special meeting.
As it stands right now, for the record, clearly, we are not making a decision today about hiring a PIO. We are interviewing candidates.
Right.
Okay.
And if we decide after that interview and for whatever other reasons, the county-wide that we need to do it sooner than later, then we can have a meeting and do it separately, which is what we'd be doing today if we had followed through. All right. Anybody else? Therefore, I get to adjourn the meeting.
You're not going to ask for any final public comment.
Oh, I could, but I think there's nobody out there.
Two people on.
All right, any other comments? And then we'll adjourn if not. They lighten up, except Lucy's not. No, I guess that's it. Okay. All right, therefore, hearing no comments, let's adjourn this meeting effective at 12:06.
Okay.
Another one bites the dust.